5 miles per hour. Now, in the first video, the defendant is recording himself driving while the vehicle can be heard accelerating and talking about, quote, cops chasing him. In the second video, the defendant is again recording himself saying, "I'm in GTA, bro," and holding up a black handgun.
Oh, no.
Third video shows the man recording police in his rearview mirror. The charges state the videos were posted all on social media.
So he's really just trying to live the GTA game. I mean, that's his whole purpose here. Good shot.
Shocking amount of people do that.
Do they really, Tyler?
Oh, yeah. They'll post videos of them committing crimes.
Wow.
Now, when I walked to the car on Friday, there were two dudes going down 459. You know, we got a pretty good glimpse to it. And they were both on motorcycles, and they were going no less than 130, 140.
And
and this is at 1 o'clock, 1:30?
Just the crotch rockets?
Yeah.
And the cops really, I mean, there's nothing they can do about that. They can't catch them. I mean...
Yeah, and I mean, what do we want them to, like, chase people down the crowded interstate?
Yeah, I mean, there's the risk reward on that. I agree.
You can't outrun the law, though.
Yeah, but if somebody...
No, you can call ahead. You got cameras catching a lot of people aren't
catch them. Paying attention, but if you switch lanes with one of those at the wrong time...
Game over. You're going to be fine. Your car is going to be damaged. A guy on the motorcycle, it's
you say that. If he's going 130 and you're going 80 and he hits the back end, I mean, I guess it just depends.
Yeah. I think he would just go through the car.
Yeah.
But what if he projectiles through and hits you?
Well, that's a problem.
Or you got a couple of kids in the back seat.
That's a possibility.
So an American tourist set off alone last week on an inflatable boat for the remote island of North Sentinel in the Indian Ocean. Now, he packed a Diet Coke and a coconut as an offering for the highly isolated tribe that lives there. Also brought along a GoPro camera in hopes of filming the encounter, according to the Indian police. I have actually seen people come up on this island before, and this is the easiest way to get killed.
Yeah. By the way,
100%.
He's not holding a Diet Coke or coconut. He's holding a rifle with ammo.
Yeah.
Now, guided by his GPS navigation, the man, Mikhailo Polikov, 24 years old, reached the northeastern shore of the island at 10 a.m. on March 29th. Scanned the land with binoculars, saw no one, so he climbed to shore, left the Diet Coke and the coconut there, took sand samples, and recorded a video, according to police. Now, Mr. Polikov was arrested March 31st when he returned to Port Blair. This is more than 800 miles east of India's mainland, according to authorities. Few outsiders have been to the island of North Sentinel, which is a territory of India, as illegal to visit. Indian government regulations prohibit any outsider interaction with its isolated tribe, whose members hunt with bow and arrow and have killed intruders for stepping onto their shore. If you do a Google guide on this, people that go onto that shore, they don't come off.
They do not live. No.
There was a missionary
round merch that you've been eyeing. We know there's a lot to choose from at nextround.store, so here's a few of our favorite picks. If you want to match LT and Brown, go with the TNR logo hoodie and throw in one of Dunaway's favorite hats. Any of them will do. The Backroom's go-to is the classic logo t-shirt, while my personal favorite is the light blue TNR crew neck. All of these items can be found at nextround.store and are EG approved. Rest assured, your order will be packed with lots of love from us here at the Next Round. Head over to nextround.store to start filling up your cart.
Think about the best summer nights of your life. How many of those were in a great t-shirt? Visit nextround.store to get the perfect t-shirt for the next perfect southern night. Nextround.store. The memories are waiting.
Take the Next Round anywhere you go with official Next Round gear. Buy yours today at nextround.store. Follow Scott Forrester on Twitter at ScottForresterTV. Jim Dunaway, Lance Taylor, Ryan Brown. Live from the Birmingham Racecourse Casino Studios, the Next Round, presented by Bud Light, is on now.
Get going live today. College football at some point in the show today, but we've got the start of the Masters we'll get to, and then the end of an amazing NCAA tournament. Stephen Pearl in the next segment to put a wrap on Auburn season. Clay Travis coming up to start hour number 2. But guys, the Final Four, 3 really good games. Last night, an amazing ending with Florida winning the national championship 65-63. I mean, when you only lead for 64 seconds of a game, that's pretty hard to lose.
Another meltdown, man. We have seen some meltdowns in this tournament, specifically in San Antonio under the brightest lights. But, man, when you've got it was 93.9% was the win probability for Houston when they were up 12. And they were so good protecting the basketball. Only 4 turnovers the first 36-35 of the game. Then they turned it over 5 times in the final 324. And to not be able to get a shot off. And I don't know how you guys felt about it, because on the broadcast – they're like, 2 is what you want here. 2 is what you want. I had a feeling when Sampson was drawing it up, we're going to take all of the time, and I'm going to walk out of here either winning this thing or losing it. And I think that was the mentality.
Maybe it was. I mean, if you go back and watch the play, they just had a bunch of guys in the same spot. The spacing, I'm not a basketball expert by any stretch, but you don't have to be to watch. I mean, you had like 4 guys within 3 feet of the basketball, it seemed like. And, I mean, it was almost like Kelvin Sampson sold his soul to the devil for that Duke win, and the devil showed back up for the fiddle of gold last night.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, I mean.
That was painful.
To be on one side of a meltdown and then be on the other side of the meltdown in 48 hours is pretty remarkable.
Their last 4 possessions, Tugler lost a rebound, an offensive rebound, lost it to Florida. Cryer turned it over. Sharp fumbled it off the knee. Then Sharp didn't get the shot off, lost that one. The last 4 possessions, they didn't get shut. They lost the ball with turnovers.
I can't even look. I had Houston plus 1.5, so it was painful enough. But I can't imagine being a Cougar fan for life and not being able to get that shot off. And if you're Sharp, you stop mid motion. You obviously can't touch the basketball. But that's one of those things. It's almost like you've just got to go through Clayton and hope to draw some contact.
Yeah. Well, I had a friend
into him.
that said once you've made that mental hiccup, why don't you just grab the ball, take the penalty? At least you can foul.
You got time on the clock.
You got some time left on the clock.
Yeah, in
one of the two.
Yeah, in one sense, you credit his awareness for not touching the ball.
Right.
But then actually the smart thing to do, because we're looking at it right now, if he grabs it, there's 3.8 seconds. I mean, you got a chance down. Yeah, if Florida hits both their free throws, it's over. But you got a chance, at least, if Florida misses a free throw.
Yeah, he was looking around. I mean, he was just panicked. He probably froze and was hoping that, a teammate's able to scoop it up and just heave one up, a desperation shot at the buzzer. That probably is the best move. I would have probably tried to draw contact in the moment, but I think anybody that's watched any substance of basketball knew, once he went up that – boy, that was bad purgatory for the Houston Cougars.
The guy that was flying by that was going to block the shot that caused him to double pump and drop the basketball was Walter Clayton Jr., who had 2 points until the final 8 minutes of the game, when he not only was really good defensively in distributing the basketball, but he had 9 points. It wasn't the Walter Clayton Jr. game we thought he was going to have if Florida was going to win it. But in the biggest moment down the stretch in the comeback, including that defensive play at the end, he was pretty big.
Yeah, he was. And when he went to the line, he had 1 point. You're like, damn, how are they even hanging around in this game?
That's right.
But, Will Richard was the guy that actually picked up the scoring, the load for Florida. And
14 in the first half. He had 18 in the game, but 14 of them in the first half when Clayton had 0.
Yeah, but, Houston's offense just awful all night. 34% from the field. L.J. Cryer, their only Cougar, in double figures. Boy, to turn it over in your last 4 possessions when you were so good with the basketball for the first 35 minutes.
As Brown said, though, you made Duke look that way two nights ago.
You're only there because Duke did pretty much the same thing. It was a different way of doing it, but they collapsed the same way.
Let's get some reaction, and then we'll put it all into context. And we'll get Stephen Pearl reacting coming up in the next segment to his good friend, Todd Golden, winning the national championship. Cut number 2, Tyler. And then we'll do 5 after that. This is Todd Golden on that comeback, the young 39-year-old who has taken Florida back to the top. It was Billy the Kid, and now this kid, the Golden Child. I just did that on the fly there.
Did you?
Billy the Kid to the Golden Child. Print a T-shirt. Tell me about it, Todd Golden.
The biggest thing from my perspective was I just didn't feel like we had much control of the game. I thought Houston was controlling tempo. I thought they were controlling with their physicality. There was an interesting technical call on our bench that I thought, was an issue we had to battle through. and it was our defense. It was stops. It was finding a way to be able to get some runouts. And as we talked about, we didn't get a lot of transition, but we were able to break and get a couple. And, Walt saw the ball go through the net with some free throws and that and one layup, and I thought that loosened him up a little bit. And after that, we were starting to get some good stuff, and we were starting to hit some shots and, get downhill and get to the foul line. And we were able to flip the game and the momentum a little bit. And obviously incredibly challenging to do against an opponent like Houston, but we're pretty dang good also, and we found a way to do it.
He touched on it there. Two things on this. Number one, to overcome 2 technicals.
That's right.
In a national championship game is pretty remarkable. I mean, when teams are that close, technicals can often bury you. But that technical on the bench in the national championship game, you're going to call that?
Yeah. Now, help me out. Did they have somebody up on the floor? Because it
was several assistants up on the floor. But I mean, I saw teams, they do that all the time to call it this just jumped out because I was watching Auburn. But a lot of times both Burgermaster, who's calling the offense, and Steven are up on the floor with Bruce, just giving signals. They're not arguing with the officials. I get the difference there. But, I mean,
I think it's one of those, Brown. I mean, obviously you're up calling plays. Now you're up there chewing on the ref. I don't think it should have been called, but I think because of the design of these dome stadiums, okay, now you're up on the floor. You've had to go upstairs to get on the floor to yell at me, and you're not the head coach. That would rub an official the wrong way, but
I would say the official.
I would eat the whistle there. Yeah. Absolutely, I'd give him a warning. I'd give him the hard.
Yeah.
Sit your ass down.
Sit down.
Now the Chinaloo, once he spikes the ball,
easy.
and it was easy.
That's easy. I mean,
all he had to do was catch it, and I don't think they would have called it.
No, they 100% would not have if he bounces it and catches it. But once he slams it and it bounces up, that's a technical 1,000% of the time.
Yeah.
I've said it on the show before. I had a friend that called on that level. And he used to tell me, if I call a technical, I want everybody in the arena to know why the technical was called. Right. I don't want anybody saying, what caused that?
I wonder what he said.
And especially in a national championship game.
Exactly.
Yeah, and on the bouncing of the basketball, I thought that was a key moment too, the technical on that one, because I forget which player it was, but he walked up to him and he said, "You can't do that." And they both reacted. It wasn't anger when he said that. And I thought that was just a poised moment for Florida to have that second technical foul, and for a little, it wasn't Golden, it wasn't anybody else. It was another player walked up and said, "Man, you can't do that." And nobody got mad at each other. Nobody pulled away. It wasn't chirping back and forth. I think the player actually said, I know. And that was the poise they played with down the stretch. Their defense, we talk about Houston's all the time, but Florida's defense was unbelievable. You mentioned all the turnovers. Condon had 4 steals in that game, and Richard had a late steal in that contest. Their defense was tremendous. They were down 12 LT with 16 minutes to go in the game, and then virtually shut Houston down from that point on.
I will say, though, Houston is offensively challenged.
Yeah. I thought they had fixed it, but watching the Duke game and the Florida game, once they got to the higher levels, they have not fixed it. They've gotten better, but it's not fixed by any stretch of the imagination.
I thought, I did think they were going to take the 3 there, but for a minute you're like, are we going to get this overtime? We kind of talked about it yesterday. I do think that solidified at least the best Final Four I've seen.
I wrote that down. It was the best Final Four I've seen because all 3 games
last minute
were in doubt the last minute. There was drama. There were comebacks.
All 3 big comebacks.
There were intensity. It was the intensity. It was some pressure points. I mean, it was just everything you wanted.
What's crazy? I said Florida it's not going to win this tournament because everybody thinks they are, and typically a team that rolls in hot.
Yeah.
And that's why I didn't like Florida to win this. But for Florida to come back in the way they did against Texas Tech and against Auburn and against Houston, it's so improbable when you're talking about
they were double digits in all those games.
Well, they were
8 points or more.
8 points or more. Okay.
Yeah,
so
Auburn never got 9 against
10.
Auburn. Yeah,
okay.
Tech did have them down double digits, and obviously Houston had them double digits.
So they overcame 8-point deficits, at least 8+ points in the Elite Eight, the semifinals, and the National Championship. The only team to do that, according to CBS Sports, at least the last 20 years. That's in the time they had to publish it. I guess they've only gone back 20 years. But at least the last 20 years, the only team to overcome 8+ point deficits in games to win them in those final 3 big games. That's crazy.
The only team to ever do it. Then
To
I thought
ever-
you were
in
going
the
to tell me
last
there was
20
another one that did
in
it
the last 20 years.
Yeah.
That's as
I
far
mean,
as
it's
they go
just-
back at time of print.
It's so improbable
Or
to
post.
do that in the NCAA tournament. I mean, to do that in the regular season is one thing. To do that in the NCAA tournament, and especially that late in the NCAA tournament. But Houston was kind of the same way. I mean, Houston had to fight for their life against Gonzaga. That game ended up in the round of 32. They obviously had to fight for their life against Duke. There was one more.
Yeah, not as much as Florida. I mean, going
Yeah.
back to UConn, and you can ask Dan Hurley about it. He felt like the officials were on the side of the Florida Gators. And then last night, I know Jay Williams was very public about this, but how you call 4 fouls in the first half and 25 in the second half, you know, we talked about them letting them play on Saturday in the Alamo Dome. It didn't seem like that in the second half last night.
No, and that's always what bothers me about basketball officiating. I'm okay with whatever you are letting them do, let them do it, but let's don't change it in the second half.
Do it
Yeah.
for 40 minutes.
That's right. I
Yeah.
mean, it was 2 different games last night. I thought it was sort of 2 different games in the Auburn Florida game. Thought it was 2 different games in the Houston Duke game. Just if you're going to let them chop people's arms off, let them do it in the second half too. Don't change at halftime when you get back there. Probably and you looked at video and it's like,
We missed those.
we're sort of letting them play too much. Let's reel them in a little
Yeah.
bit. Okay, we'll get some reaction from the losing locker room, and Kelvin Sampson. Can't call him a loser. I mean, you can't call him.
I felt awful for him, really.
We'll talk about Houston, who came up short in this game coming up, and one amazing stat from Florida. The show being brought to you by an amazing man. That's Greg from Pell City and Storm Restoration Roofing. I'm telling you right now, when it comes to roofing, and I live in a situation where I don't get to control who puts the roof on my area,
Right.
my place. They're roofing today. I will just tell you that the quality of the workmanship I see going on there, I wish the whole neighborhood used Greg from Pell City. And at one point, I'm going to go to an HOA meeting.
Yeah.
But it's not today.
Pound
But
the table.
It's not today. But at
Yes.
one point, I'm
Tea
going
time's
to
gonna
say,
get that way today.
You guys
Yeah.
have got to get Greg from Pell City. I recommend anybody who's in charge of an HOA or at a townhome division like I'm in, or if you're looking for the best in the business when it comes to homes, Storm Restoration Roofing is the name. Just great customer service, first off, and A-plus Better Business Bureau quality work right there. Greg from Pell City on Facebook, 205-542-3531, 205-542-3531. Absolutely the best in the business. And here's what he'll do for you today. He'll give you a free, no-cost, no-obligation roof inspection. He'll come out, take a look at your roof, see if you've had any storm damage recently. You don't know what's going on up there. Loose shingles can cause a major problem. We've had all these windstorms. So get Greg out there, 205-542-3531, 205-542-3531. Again, that's a free, no-cost, no-obligation roof inspection, and he'll help you out. He does building repairs, too. He's got a builder's license that he can take care of some stuff. He's doing some stuff at LT's house. Greg from Pell City on Facebook, 205-542-3531. Here is Kelvin Sampson on the difference between the difference between the Duke win and then the loss last night to Florida. Tyler.
As after the game, to be disappointed you lost, but do not be disappointed in your effort. Defending Florida is difficult. They got a really, really good team. Coach Golden runs great schemes over there, but we guarded them. We held that team to 65 points. Thought if we held Duke to under 70, we'd have a good chance to win. And I felt like if we held Florida under 70, we'd have a good chance to win. Saturday, we found a way to win. Tonight, maybe not so much.
Yeah.
But two great teams, 2 tough teams. We lost by 2 points. They made one more play than we did tonight.
So that 70 number, Houston is 33-0 this year when they hold their opponents under 70. Florida is the first team to win, not scoring over 70 against Houston this year. They're 33-0 this year. At that 70 number and below 65, they usually win that one.
I told you guys I did like the under. I ended up not playing it, of course. Of course, it goes to overtime. Maybe the the dynamics change a little bit.
That's where totals lose.
Yeah. But, to be held for under 70 points for only the second time all season, it does show you how good that Houston defense is.
I wanted the SEC to win. I like Todd Golden. I think he's a fantastic coach.
Same.
But I was pulling for Kelvin Sampson. I mean, this guy's had a long career. I like him. I don't know why me and Lance like him and you don't, Dunaway.
I don't dislike him.
Yeah. Why do you not like him? Lance, you like him, right? You like him.
I like him.
I
like him compared to most things in life. I don't like him more than I like the SEC.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
But
by the way, Golden's going to become one of these guys.
What? That is hard to
you
like?
hate?
Oh, yeah. Because he does have that shit-eating grin, and they're just going to get better. Like, from what he built and the pieces. And, we were just talking last week about Janai Broome, maybe the greatest transfer. Walter Clayton Jr., Iona.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a pretty good transfer.
Hey, we'll talk later on about the future odds and top 25 after we get through our guest lineup coming up. But they've got a ton of people coming back.
Yeah. They're going to be good again, no doubt. On Sampson, though, even if you don't love him the way Lance and I do, this guy has coached. He was going for his 800th win last night.
I know. It would have been a perfect walkout.
Amazing walkout, right? I got 800 wins and that trophy I've always chased. To watch him just stand there. And I saw somebody in Scott showing the screenshot of it. Look at that, man. Tell me you don't feel compassion for that guy right there. I mean, all that hard work. I saw somebody say that is a man who has poured 40 years of his life into trying to win that trophy.
Yep.
And to watch it leave your grasp that way, how difficult must that have been for him?
He'll get Uzan and Sharp back, too, so they may be good again next year. But if you're not familiar with what he has done, in the last 6 tournaments, he has gotten out of the first weekend. He's gone the last 6 NCAA tournaments: Sweet 16, semifinal loss in the Final Four, Elite 8, Sweet 16, and now national runner-up.
I don't know that there's been a more consistent program in America over the last 5 or 6 years, has there?
I mean, he's averaged 33 wins a year over that time.
I'm talking all things considered. If you consider regular season, conference play, I don't know that there's been a more consistent program.
But I don't know how much more you can. I mean, he finally looks like he is aged.
Yep.
And, he'll be 70 next season. I don't know how much longer he does this.
Yep. One other amazing stat, and then we'll go big picture on the SEC because we want to put that into context before we get out of this opening segment. And then we'll bring Stephen Pearl in. But Florida had a bushel of turnovers in the first 30 minutes. They had 13 turnovers in the first 30 minutes and 30 seconds of the game. They ended up with, in the final 9 minutes and 30 seconds against the Houston defense, they had 0 turnovers in the final 9 minutes and 30 seconds of that game. That is unheard of against Houston.
Yeah, ask Duke how hard that is, right?
Yeah. In the final 9:30 against that man's defense, no turnovers.
I do think that's the difference in, Ron Slay brought this up yesterday on veterans. And you got a lot of that with Florida.
You do. But I was texting a buddy of mine because he jumped the gun. He was like, man, I don't know why he did this. But he's like, until I saw on the show you went Houston, I was going to go with somebody else, and I jumped on Houston with you. Thanks for the pick. A little early on that text.
Way to go, man.
A little early on that text, but I did send back to him.
And I'm the landmine.
I did send back to him, and I was like, it's hard to watch, but that's probably the best defensive coach of our lifetime. I mean,
one of them, yeah.
I don't know who you would say is absolutely better.
No, I mean, he's in the conversation every year. You start when you talk about him as absolutely the defensive guru out there. All right, and by the way, for you landmine people out there, Florida, Houston, my bracket. Florida wins the national championship.
This is the best you've done. Yeah.
Way to Wellness brings you the show. Before we talk about what the SEC did, Way to Wellness, Leslie, her board-certified team. I was by there yesterday. They were like, ooh, Jim, way to put a couple of pounds back on. We were starting to worry about you. You were losing too much weight. What'd you eat? A boatload of Conecuh sausages at 2 in the morning Saturday night? I did, actually. Thank you. Planforme.com, planforme.com. Find out all the details you need to know at Way to Wellness. It's your journey to healthy living. There's no contracts. There's no sign-up fees, and the first consultation is free. Injection therapy, they got them if you're into that. Weight planning, meal planning, they've got that if you're into that. Protein bars to sort of tie you over so you don't snack badly. That's what I use a lot of. They're wonderful, and that works for me. but every plan's different. Leslie can help you. Planforme.com. Also, our friends at NASCAR, Brownie, tell us about Talladega coming up.
TalladegaSuperspeedway.com. TalladegaSuperspeedway.com is the website to go to. If you have never seen a race at Talladega and you've lived here for any amount of time, you've just simply missed out. You don't even have to be a huge NASCAR fan. Go enjoy the people watching. Go enjoy the fun, the noise, the speed, the power. It's just incredible action at every turn and pure speed around the track. And the Jack Links 500 NASCAR weekend is coming up April 25th through 27th at the Talladega Superspeedway. Lock in your spot now. TalladegaSuperspeedway.com. That is TalladegaSuperspeedway.com.
Okay, I want to be good on our time because Stephen Pearl is coming up in the next segment. But the SEC wins the national championship, their first since 2012. And on the season, 14 NCAA tournament teams. They had 7 of the Sweet 16, half the Final Four. They win the national championship. They won 88.9% of their non-conference games, and they set a record by getting over $70 million in NCAA tournament units, payouts. That's a record. Nobody's ever gotten that much. So they got to the tournament, then they won games, which brought the league more money, $70 million plus, going in to be divided by the 16 teams just off of what you won in the NCAA tournament. That's a big year for SEC basketball.
Massive year. And you saw Greg Sankey, one of the best seats in the house last night.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, basically sitting on the court.
Perk of the job, right?
Yeah.
You know, we did
Luckily,
talk
you
about,
didn't get a technical.
we did talk about this yesterday, how important really in the grand scheme of this basketball season it was for Florida to cut down the nets.
It would have felt different.
It would have felt a lot different. And especially, going into next season and 5 years removed, I think this could end up being the banner year, and it's ironic that it was Florida that won it instead of the true blue blood Kentucky.
Yeah.
But this 2025 could go down as the season that really marks the beginning of domination in college basketball for the SEC.
Yeah, I don't think you can go any other route than the SEC absolutely delivered on being the best conference maybe we've ever seen, the best single year by conference we've ever seen. They did it in the non-conference. They were dominant in the polls for whatever that is worth. They got
your coach of the year, your player of the year.
Yep, you got 2 1 seeds.
30-4 against the ACC, but ended up, I think, 14-3 against the Big 12.
Yeah.
Houston 0-3 against SEC teams this year.
Let me pull that back. You didn't have player of the year.
Not player of the year.
But you did have co-coach of the year.
That is right.
Yep.
You had historic NCAA tournament seeding in terms of numbers and higher seeds. And then when they got in the tournament, they delivered. I mean, nobody expected all 14 teams to advance. That was insane to think that was going to happen.
You can't do it.
And then you certainly can't advance more than 2 rounds because they started playing one another in round 2. So, I mean, when you consider that the percentage of teams that were remaining from the SEC increased in every round or stayed at 50%, when it got to the end, Elite Eight Final Four national championship game, really don't know how you could say anything other than the SEC delivered on what everybody said that they were all year. They, the old Dennis Green, they were who we thought they were.
Yep. And the best team left standing, not SEC, Houston, losses to Auburn in a virtual home game. Houston lost to Alabama in Vegas and lost to Florida in the national championship game.
Yep.
Yeah, 2 of them basically in their backyard there deep in the heart of Texas. Big year for the SEC. Stephen Pearl coming up on the other side. We'll talk more basketball. First of all, the scene last night at Riverwalk for the Florida Nation, Gator Nation that was down there, unbelievable. And Little T said just all the fans around the Riverwalk when she was down there covering the Final Four for us was amazing. And they had the trophy out there, smoking cigar, Todd Golden, and the fans and the celebration. That's a big party right after the game. That looks like fun. Gators on the water.
Ron Slay would disagree. There's finally some excitement in San Antonio, but it's Florida fans.
I bet if it were the Vols in that boat, Ron Slay would have loved it.
But a big moment there for the Gator Nation down in San Antonio. And our MyBookie.ag bracket challenge ended. And Brown ends up winning it of all. No, wait.
No, not on the staff.
Not on the staff. That's right. Here's the bracket challenge standings. I got the winner. Brown wins it between the 3 of us. But if we open it up to everyone who's on the staff that played the bracket, Brown comes up a tad short. Scott Forster edges him out.
Look at Scotty.
Look at that.
Scotty,
Wow.
7th overall.
Yeah, he had Florida last night. I had Houston, so it came down to that game between the two of us.
102. Then Brown, I end up 94. Reed, Taylor Corn, 76. I mentioned the little T. If they were in the mix, just by 1 point, she didn't get a spray tan.
Yeah, I don't know. A little T's so dark.
I don't know if
telling
she
you,
needs one.
The three of us, we would have been, and we needed really Brown to lose this one.
Why?
Because I don't think people would have noticed me either. I get
This
very dark.
Trust me, I will.
I think
I
people
will.
wanted you to get the spray
Yeah,
tan.
I think you were the betting
I
favorite.
mean, who doesn't want me to be punished?
Suffer, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, that was just the opinion I saw in the chat.
Yeah, no doubt.
Oh, I don't think it's about you being punished. I do think that there would be people there that would be like,
Look at
damn,
that.
he finally got a spray tan.
Yeah,
like,
look at that way.
You know, he got his tattoo a couple of years ago. Finally got his spray. Where's his motorcycle?
What is going on with this guy?
Gold chain, too. What is happening with this guy? Yeah, it would have been fun. All right, Steven puts the tournament, his buddy Todd Golden cutting down the nets. That's a big rise for Golden from being on the Pearl staff when they got to Auburn to be now national championship winner. And then Steven will talk to us about Todd Pettiford's decision yesterday and how the door is open for him to come back. Everything's coming up next on the other side of the show, being brought to you by a couple of great folks. Our friends at Hemp Hill. They bring you the lock every day. Lance'sLock.com, which continues baseball in fuego.
Yeah, look, we did win again in baseball yesterday. We're crushing baseball. We did have Houston plus 1.5. Tough loss there. But we have 3 games of Major League Baseball, 2 NBA games available right now at Lance'sLock.com. Free winner each and every day. It is always brought to you by our friends at Hemp Hill Services. Told the story. My buddy Kevin called another company, made the mistake of doing that. He did it just because this is the company that installed his AC unit years and years ago. They never even returned his call. Hemp Hill was out there within the hour. Whether you experience plumbing, heating, or cooling issues in your home or business, they are ready to serve you. Call Adam, Chad, Andrew, the guys there. Tell them the next round sent you. 205-229-2090. It's hard to stop a train. For more information, hemphillservices.com.
Braves a bit of an underdog tonight as they take on the Philadelphia Phillies at home. Chris Sale against Zach Wheeler. You can play that game at mybookie.ag. Quick update on the Masters odds. As it tees off Thursday, Scotty Scheffler still your favorite at plus 420. Rory at plus 610. Then Rahm and Morikawa right behind them. You can play all of that at mybookie.ag. Log on right now. Make your initial deposit using code NEXTROUND. And you get a 50% sign-on bonus up to $1,000. Also a $10 casino chip. That is what you get with code NEXTROUND right now. All season long. Any sport. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere. MyBookie.ag, code NEXTROUND. MyBookie.ag, code NEXTROUND. Stephen Pearl up next.
Call the next round now at 205-734-0923.
I'm attorney Alexander Shunnarah, Alabama born, Alabama raised, and ready to fight for your rights. I have one of the largest firms in Alabama, and we are here to help you get the compensation you deserve. Call me, Alabama, 323-1000.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than those of other lawyers.
Hey, Lance Taylor from the next round to tell you about one of our favorite places for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That is Hamburger Heaven since 1982. Hamburger Heaven has been serving Birmingham's best hamburgers, cheeseburgers, French fries, hand-spun milkshakes, and sandwiches made fresh to order. All of their ingredients are fresh and prepared daily. This includes their beef, always fresh, never frozen, hand-pattied each and every day. For breakfast, lunch, or dinner, visit any of the 4 locations, Highway 280, Irondale, Gardendale, and Homewood.
Looking for a great place for that boring meeting? Leave the office and go to the Golfus. What about corporate events like board meetings, sales meetings, customer appreciation events? How about the Golfus? Watch parties for football and basketball, parties for birthdays or couple showers. The Golfus is a great place for those. The Golfus has Birmingham's best golf simulators and man caves in Vestavia on Highway 31, opening soon in Trussville and on Highway 280. Bring whatever you want to eat or drink, even bring your own clubs. Get out of the office. Go to the Golfus. Book your spot now at thegolfus.com.
As we all know, there's no off-season when it comes to college football. If you want to stay in the know with all things Alabama, join us over on covercrimson.com and get $25 off your annual subscription. We'll keep you up to date and give you exclusive content all the way to the first Saturday of football season on covercrimson.com.
What a great time of year to be online with our friends at mybookie.ag, mybookie.ag, where right now you get a major current sign-up bonus, a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000, plus a $10 casino chip when using the code NEXTROUND. That's code NEXTROUND. We're talking about all the madness of March, the NBA playoff race, the start of Major League Baseball, and it's all for you right now online when using the code NEXTROUND. Go sign up today, mybookie.ag, code NEXTROUND.
This hour of The Next Round is presented by the Birmingham Racecourse Casino, now featuring 7 days of giveaways with your chance to win a share of up to $125,000. The more you visit the Birmingham Racecourse Casino, the more chances you have to win.
The biggest and baddest track in NASCAR, Talladega Superspeedway, is ready to put on another amazing show in April. If you've never been to this track, you've got to come check it out. 2.5 miles of nothing but pure speed and incredible action at every turn. Don't miss the Jack Links 500 NASCAR weekend at Talladega Superspeedway. It's April 25th through the 27th, and you can get your tickets right now at TalladegaSuperspeedway.com. That's TalladegaSuperspeedway.com.
It's bow time. Tired of choosing between sweet and savory? Why not have both? Introducing Bojangles' new chicken and bowberry waffles. The bold Cajun chicken filet you love, now drizzled with a bowberry honey glaze and sandwiched between two warm waffles. Which means your favorite meal of the day just met your new favorite dish. And lucky for you, it's served all day. But it's only here for a limited time, so try chicken and bowberry waffles at Bojangles today. It's bow time.
Birmingham's fastest party returns to Barber Motorsports Park May 2nd through 4th. Medical Properties Trust presents the Children's of Alabama Indy Grand Prix powered by AmFirst. Experience 3 days of high-speed action featuring the fastest drivers in the world from the IndyCar series. Enjoy the Kids Zone, food trucks, beer garden, Ferris wheel, fan zone, and more. The Children's of Alabama Indy Grand Prix powered by AmFirst. Kids 15 and under get in free. Get your tickets now.
I'm attorney Alexander Shunnarah, Alabama born, Alabama raised, and ready to fight for your rights. I have one of the largest firms in Alabama, and we are here to help you get the compensation you deserve. Call me, Alabama, 323-1000.
Your representation is made that the quality of legal services being performed is greater than those of other lawyers.
Okay, Stephen Pearl coming up, and I don't know the rules, so I will say it on the front end, and we'll see what he can talk about. But who are rules anymore? I don't know. But Tahaad Pettiford yesterday, NBA declaration, as we talked about on the show, leaving the door open for his return to Auburn. He made a point that if he's playing college basketball, it'll only be at Auburn. May 11th through the 18th is the combine. The deadline is May 28th. So it may be a beat before you find out. And also, Chad Baker-Mazara sent this out. We've talked many times that CBM has another year of eligibility if he wants it. He is hinting that he's on the table for 25 and 26 the upcoming season. I'll let you awkwardly say, Stephen, can you talk about either one of those things? I don't know what the NCAA rules are. I know it gets crazy with recruits. Right. I feel like you can talk about all of that, but I don't know.
Well, I like you bringing up stuff. I don't know how the rules work. Brown asked the first question. Stephen Pearl is with us, associate head coach Auburn Tigers. Are you...
Here, somebody's moving.
Wait.
Are the new offices ready?
Have you taken another job? What are we doing here, Coach?
Are the new offices ready?
Yeah, I'm formally retiring from college basketball coaching, and I'm coming to work at the next round starting next year. So just getting my things packed up, and new adventure for me. No, we're having to get our stuff out of the office. We're doing some remodeling of the offices, so they told us got to get our stuff packed up by Thursday of this week. So getting to work on that.
Yeah, that's never fun. So I guess let's just start looking to the roster next year. I mean, you're a guy, you told us you had spent more time in the portal than you've wanted to, I would imagine. Do you have a pretty good grasp of what this roster will look like moving forward? And, what does that mean for guys like Chad Baker-Mazara and Tahaad?
Yeah, I mean, we'll address those two first. Tahaad, this was always the plan for him to obviously test the waters and get his evaluations back and kind of see, what kind of interest there was out there. And, we want to obviously afford our guys the opportunity to go out there and, get evaluated, get workouts, and just, get good feedback based on where they think they're at. Tahaad had a great season for us and elevated his status, to a place where he's in contention for those types of conversations, which is great. So we're going to let Tahaad obviously go out there and see what's out there. And, if it's not something that makes sense for him, like you said yesterday, he'll be coming back to Auburn and, help us kind of build this thing again. And, Chad does have another year of eligibility based on the rules from this year and, him having been in junior college. So, Chad obviously has the ability and the option to come back. So those would be, two really solid pieces from this year's team to come back. We have, 3 freshmen coming in that, are obviously all hungry to, prove that they can play at this level. And, Bashir, one of the best junior college players in all of college basketball, is coming in as well. And we got a great commitment from Keyshawn Hall, last week out of the portal, one of the leading scorer in the Big 12, one of the best players in the portal. So that's obviously a good start. But, we obviously have to replace, our entire front line. Keyshawn's a great start there, but we've got to go out there and find a couple 5 men. And, the portal is absolutely insane right now. Just the numbers that are being tossed around. It's the wild, wild west right now. So we're trying to manage it as best we can.
Okay, 2 parts here. First, Chaney Johnson, with only 2 years at this level, is there a chance he will be eligible? And the second part, give BP a lot of credit. He snuck in the fact that he said Pettiford is 5'11". And we all know in the NBA that cutoff is kind of 6 feet. I know you guys list him in the media guide at 6'1". How tall is Tahaad?
I'm not sure how tall he is exactly. I haven't, I don't know. It's a good question. With shoes on, he's, probably right around there. But, plays bigger than what his actual size is.
Right around 5'11" or right around 6'1"?
I couldn't tell you, honestly. No idea. And then Chaney, the whole thing, with Chaney is there's been some different athletes that have come forward and tried to, I guess, sue the NCAA to try and get an additional year, considering that they were at Division II for a year or two, to get that year back. To my knowledge, none of those have been successful yet. There's been a couple. There was a new one that just came out from a basketball player this week. So basically, if any of those go through, that would obviously help his case, but none of them have really gone through yet. So we're still trying to navigate those waters with Chaney, but obviously understand that it's an uphill battle in his situation. If they deem that, Division II is, one of your 4 years, or, then there's really nothing you can do from that perspective. But if one of these cases were to go through, obviously it would help his situation, but we're just kind of, playing it by ear, seeing what the NCAA or what these, local judges come back with.
I was really impressed the way you handled the post-game interviews after the loss on Saturday. You've had some time to think about it now. How do you put what this team accomplished this year? And I say that knowing you hang a banner. You're the SEC champions, so you hang a banner. But how do you put into context what this team meant for Auburn basketball, your program down on the Plains?
Yeah, I mean, you look back at the season in totality, 3 different championships. We won what we call the last meaningful Maui Invitational in one of the best fields that it's ever had. Got a trophy from that. You win the SEC regular season, a week early, in probably the best conference in the history of college basketball. You get that, and then you win the South Regional Championship to go to another Final Four. So 3 separate trophies this year, all while playing, the second hardest schedule in the history of college basketball, just based on the analytics. And it's so weird because, we still are all just sick to our stomachs right now, we didn't accomplish anything, which, obviously that's not the case. We set a school record for wins at 32, won our 5th SEC championship, went to our 2nd Final Four, and, us as a staff are still, we're not satisfied to an extent. This team will go down as the best team in the history of Auburn University, so obviously accomplished a ton, and did it with an interesting cast of characters. You look at this roster, Janai Broom, mid-major transfer. Chad Baker-Mazara, JUCO transfer. Denver Jones, mid-major transfer. Chaney Johnson, a D2 transfer. Dylan Cardwell, a 3-star out of high school. Chris Moore, a 3-star out of high school. Jaheim Hudson, a mid-major transfer. Miles Kelly, Georgia Tech transfer, but that's not one of the best programs in the ACC. And then, Tahaad Pettiford. So to do it with that group, I think obviously speaks volumes to their development, speaks volumes to how good our staff is. I think we have the best staff in college basketball. And I think we've proven year in and year out that we just find ways to get it done. So a ton to be proud of. Obviously, a ton of things that we're going to be able to look back and be satisfied on. But, man, really disappointed that, we weren't able to get it done. Going to the Final Four, Chad's got a completely torn ligament in, his thumb, his shooting hand. And Janai's got a ligament sprain in his elbow in addition to an ankle injury. So both those guys, finding ways to gut it out on the biggest stage and putting us in position to be successful. We held Florida to like their 5th worst offensive output of the year. So I thought we guarded pretty well, but golly, like Walter Clayton looked like Steph Curry on Saturday night. He looked like his daughter Riley Curry last night. And, so he single-handedly beat us, 34 points on, 11 for 18 from the field. But to his credit, last night Houston did a great job of minimizing his points, but I think he had like 9 assists maybe.
Yep.
And that's kind of what he did to us in the first game, where he had 7 assists. There are some of their parts, like if you take him away, they got 6 or 7 other guys that can beat you. I thought we did a really good job of taking away the rest of the team. And they had I think they had 3 or 4, maybe 5 assists in our game, and they beat us. So, I thought we guarded them really well. We obviously had way too many turnovers in the second half that obviously, were kind of our downfall and our demise. But, it's going to take a while for us as a staff because right now we're so heavy trying to rebuild this thing for next year. I don't think we'll really be able to look back until like May or something and actually look back and really appreciate, what we did and what this team did. But, it was a fun group to coach. They did pretty much everything we asked, and against one of the toughest schedules, probably the toughest schedule we'll ever be able to put together for them in a league that was so special this year. And it was only fitting, that the national champion came from this league because, for the entirety of the season, the SEC was by far and away the best conference, in America.
Auburn Associate Head Coach Stephen Pearl on the Shunnarah Hotline. And I know you're talking about, taking time to reflect at some other point. Do you remember, though, the first time you thought this team had Final Four capabilities?
Yeah, when we beat Houston at their place. That was eye-opening for me because, I have such respect for those guys and the job they do. And I thought this Houston team was the best team that he's had since he's been there. And, that team ended up obviously lost to us, lost to Alabama, lost to San Diego State. On November 30th, they were 4-3.
Yeah.
Finished the season 35-5 and, had a 12-point lead in the national championship game. And I was telling Brittany last night, I was like, a 12-point lead against Houston is like a 24-point lead against anyone else. It's just it's so hard to come back from that. But the only team that really in this, in the country that's capable of doing it was Florida because they obviously are able to do it so quickly. But no, when we beat them in Houston, after, the flight issue going down, I was like, all right, this team's got something here, something special to be able to deal with some adversity and beat a damn good team. And they played really well that game, I thought. And we were able to beat them, minus Florida. We were the only team to beat them in regulation this year. And, like you guys said before I got on, 3 of their 5 losses came from, probably the 3 best teams in the SEC. So that just speaks to the depth of our league. But yeah, obviously, the Houston game, and then obviously our faith was challenged a little bit in the first half of the Iowa State game, down 18, come back, win that game. all right, this team's got some resolve. This team's got some toughness. This team's got the juice, I think, to obviously, get it done and, just continue to show throughout the year that they were capable. And, to obviously get back to our second Final Four was special. It's such a different feeling than 2019. 2019, we felt like we belonged. This year, we're disappointed because we felt like we had the team to win it. So it's a totally different feeling than 2019, but obviously still really proud of everything this group was able to accomplish in such a difficult year.
Yeah, I was going to ask if this was part of it, but you mentioned it. Like, that Houston trip started so strange. I mean, you had to turn a dang plane around and leave some guys back in Auburn. So obviously that played into what you saw there. I mean, that is a very, very uncommon situation. I I didn't like your odds at that point when you're having to turn a plane around and leave guys back home. So obviously that played a part in it.
Yeah, I mean, it spoke to, I think, our guys' relationships. Our guys didn't understand the severity of it, I don't think, because they were obviously they were on to the next thing, ready to get ready for Houston. And I just think that the amount of time they spent together in the summer, with breakfast club and Bible study, and allowed them to be able to handle that situation, handle being down 18 to Iowa State, handle Janai getting hurt with 12 minutes left in the South Carolina game, to win that game and then win the next two against ranked opponents without him. To be able to, lose 2 games at the end of the season, 3 of the last 4 against 3 really good teams, get past that, and then go make a run to the Final Four. I think just spoke to how close this group was, how much they leaned on each other and trusted each other, that we had the ability to, deal with some adverse situations throughout the year and still find a way to, we win 3 separate championships, make it to a Final Four. And, it's just, it was a joy to coach that group, and obviously going to miss a lot of those guys. But, they made their mark on Auburn basketball, and, it's a team that will, forever be remembered as, probably the greatest team in Auburn basketball history.
First off, for you, how difficult was it to watch that game last night? And as far as a rooting interest, we know that you guys have got a personal relationship with Todd Golden, but this is year 3 for him at Florida. Kelvin Sampson, 69 years old, and you know how much your old man has put into this, and you know how much you've put into coaching and how difficult it is to get there, and to know that thing was just ripped away from Kelvin Sampson. So from a rooting interest, I'm sure you were pulling for Golden, but at the same time, you got a feel for Sampson, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, every coach in our industry understands like how hard it is to get to a Final Four, how hard it is. I mean, shit, it's hard to get to the Sweet 16, you know what I mean? Like, it's not easy. So to be that close and have had the career that Kelvin's had, obviously you feel for him. He's one of the most accomplished coaches in our game. The rebuild that he's done at Houston is, hell, it's second to none. Him and BP have both done about as good of a job turning around programs as anyone in college basketball. So obviously you feel for him, but at the end of the day, like, Todd's like family to me. And, I haven't watched the national championship game since I've been at Auburn. I can't do it, because after we get out of the tournament, like, I'm not watching basketball for the remainder of the tournament, but, obviously was locked in last night, and, I texted him about 2 hours before the game and, told him to finish the job, and he got right back to me. And, I know that text meant a lot to him, because he knows how competitive I am and how pissed off I am that we lost to him. But, I watched the whole thing, and I told Brittany, I was like, I'm so nervous. Like, I'm coaching in the game right now because I want him to win it so bad, because, like you said, it's so hard to get there that he may not. I mean, I have faith that he will, but he may not ever get back to another Final Four. So to be in that situation, obviously you want to capitalize when you have the opportunity. And, credit to him and that staff, man. They, with Walter playing the way he did, they were still able to find a way to beat an incredibly resilient and a really good Houston team to win his first national championship, and I think their third. So I'm so happy for TG, Obviously, wish it would have been us, but if anyone else was going to win, I'm obviously glad it was those guys.
Where was Nelly positioned on the couch last night?
She was she was right next to me until I would get fired up, and then she'd jump off and have to run away, and she'd come back. But Brittany ended up passing out with 5 minutes left in the game, so had to try and keep it down for her and Laney. But that was what a great Final Four. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
It was the best, in our opinion.
I mean, that may have been one of the best, Final Four. I mean, I know we keep talking about best SEC regular season in history, but 4 1 seeds all chalk, and there was 3 great games. Obviously college basketball is, while all the negative things that are being talked about with NIL and rev share and transfer portal, the game is in a great spot right now. The quality of basketball is in a great spot, and that was shown, in this tournament and obviously in this Final Four. So what a great week for college basketball this week.
Hey, before you go, I hate to be serious now after we got into a feel-good spot, but how much of a basketball schedule is done, and do you and BP want to continue scheduling like you scheduled this year, or do you do that year to year based on the roster personnel do you have? Like, is the schedule 100% done right now, 75% done? Because it seems like y'all throw some important games together late.
No, it's close to done as far as all the big ones. We're obviously playing in that players era tournament in Vegas. There's going to be, most of the top 25 is going to be out there. So you're going to play 3 quad 1 games out there.
Yeah, which is the new Maui Classic, right? That's why you talked about the old Maui win by you guys. That's where all the good teams are going to go now, right? Vegas?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. I mean, the Maui Invitational now has 1 good team in it. The battle for Atlantis fell apart. It's these NIL events are what teams are wanting to go to. So the players era is going to be the obviously the feature, MTE this year. And then, we're going to play Houston in Birmingham this year. They'll be preseason number 1 probably, or number 2 based on all these early top 25s. We're playing Purdue in Indianapolis. They're going to be a top 15, top 10 team again next year. We'll play in the ACC SEC Challenge. And there's another one. There's another home and home that we haven't actually. I'm not sure we may have released it, but I'm not going to break the news here. I'll check first before I text you guys and let you know if that's been put out there. But we're going to have 8 quad 1 games before SEC play again next year. So this schedule obviously was really good for this team because we had a senior group that could handle it. Next year, obviously we're not going to have that group back. We're going to have a lot of new faces. So we're not going to go 12-1 in non-conference again this year. We're just not. We just won't have the team to do it. I think, it'll be great for us because it'll help us obviously get prepared for conference play. And it'll obviously help our resume getting ready for the NCAA tournament because that's the best way for you to help your seeding is if you play about as tough of a non-conference schedule as you can. And obviously going into it, we were obviously concerned, but BP and Burgo, obviously did a great job of putting it together, and it obviously paid off and allowed for us to be the number 1 overall seed in the tournament with the success that we had and the challenging schedule that we put in front of us. So I think it's something that we'll continue to do moving forward.
All right, one more before you go. Do you know Bucky McMillan well? He just got the A&M job, obviously. I don't know how well you know Bucky.
Yeah, I mean, know him from, when he was at Mountain Brook, bringing his team down here to team camp, spent a lot of time with him. He's obviously he's an interesting hire, but it's a hire that I think will pay off for him. You look at what Todd Golden's done at Florida. If you just go after a big name that, everyone would think you go after, or you go after somebody like a Bruce Pearl or a Nate Oates or a Todd Golden, with a little bit of risk, but guys that just understand ball and know how to win. Bucky's won everywhere he's been, so I don't think there's any exception that he won't go down to College Station and obviously do a really good job. So I think that's a tremendous hire for them, and I would anticipate that he'll obviously continue to have success in that program.
Listen, we know your schedule's crazy. You make time in it for us each week. I hope you know how much we appreciate that. It has been fun. Sorry the season did not end the way you wanted, but it was an amazing season, and we really appreciate the time you give us each week. I hope you know that.
Very much.
No, I enjoy it and appreciate you guys and our friendships, and I'm pretty pleased that I didn't have too many crazy hot takes this year like I did last year that are going to go viral on Twitter. So I'll try to be a little more open and honest next season.
Yeah,
Okay.
You'll make our Taylor puts together an end of year video every year in December. And you'll make it this year holding up the baby to the Lion King.
Perfect.
Perfect. That's his life goal, to make Taylor's video. Then. All right.
That's it. That's all I wanted.
Thank you, Coach. Enjoy your off-season, whatever it is now. And we'll catch up again soon.
Appreciate you guys. Talk soon.
All right. Take care. That is Stephen Pearl, Associate Head Coach, Auburn Tigers. Again, if you joined the interview late, office packed up because of remodeling offices. He has not taken another job, but he was with us on the Alexander Shunnarah Trial Attorneys Hotline.
Yeah, a lot of expansion going on with the SEC basketball programs because they're bringing in the money right now. Show being brought to you by a ton of great sponsors here. Uninterrupted with Stephen Pearl there for 25 minutes. One of those great sponsors is our friends at Odie's. LT, tell us about Odie's.
Tomorrow night, we will be at the original location in Crestline for Odie's Team Trivia. We do that every Wednesday night. Both locations, though, incredible food from Rodney Davis. He's been doing it for more than 35 years, from the award-winning wings, delicious burgers, great sandwiches, including the Diablo sandwich, ice-cold beer buckets full of the Bud Light, the Odie's famous huge styrofoam cup, cocktails, fantastic as well. Live music every Friday, Saturday. Get in and see Will Haver and those great staffs. Birmingham Institution, it's Odie's Tavern.
If you're in an office that does a lot of printing, like a tax office, a car dealership, a pharmacy, schools, whatever the case might be, you know how quickly printer and copier supplies and those expenses can stack up. Imagecraft. They are our friends that carry all the major brands and help you save on them. HP, Brother, Canon, Dell, Lexmark, Konica, Minolta, Kyocera, Ricoh, Sharp, and Xerox. They do all of that right there. And as I said, they help you save. They want you to print more and spend less. They also help you buy free same-day delivery on all in-stock items in the Birmingham Metro. They ship free outside the area. Just go in the store right there in Trussville down for the Pinnacle Shopping Center and say, hey, I heard it on the next round. You'll save 10% there. Use code TNR10 at imagecraft.net and save 10% there. Imagecraft. Print more, spend less.
And our friends at Urology Centers of Alabama, we appreciate those fine folks so much because they help you stay on top of your health. UCA there, 205-930-0920. You say, Jim, what do I need Urology Centers of Alabama for? If you're 20 years old, man, things are probably fantastic. I'd stay on top of it anyway, but, things are probably... You're turning 30, though, you want to check some things out, right? 40, 50, the alarm goes up. Early detection, so important. 205-930-0920. 16 locations, 35 urologists on standby to help you out. Get details, everything from prostate health to kidney stones, vasectomies at urologycentersalabama.com. urologycentersalabama.com. Back in a moment.
Everything Next Round is on demand now in the podcast section at nextroundlive.com.
I'm attorney Alexander Shunnarah, Alabama-born, Alabama-raised, and ready to fight for your rights. I have one of the largest firms in Alabama, and we are here to help you get the compensation you deserve. Call me, Alabama, 323-1000.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services being performed is greater than those of other lawyers. The road to the Indy 500 runs through Birmingham, May 2nd through the 4th. The fastest IndyCar drivers in the world, O'Ward, Dixon, and Newgarden will put their skills to the test with one goal in mind: victory. Witness Miss America Abby Stockard give the most iconic command in all of racing as the Grand Marshal. May starts here. The Children's of Alabama Indy Grand Prix, powered by AmFirst. Tickets are selling fast. Get yours today.
Storm season is here. Make sure you have a plan of action in place right now. Greg from Pell City and Storm Restoration Roofing should be your first call when storms hit. Insurance companies love working with Storm Restoration Roofing because of Greg Nelson's name and reputation in the industry. When storms hit, call Greg Nelson. He's local, 205-542-3531. He's the home of the free no-cost roof inspection. Greg from Pell City on Facebook, 205-542-3531. It's Storm Restoration Roofing.
The biggest and baddest track in NASCAR is Talladega Super Speedway, and it's ready to put on another amazing show in April. If you've never been to the Talladega Super Speedway, you have to check it out. This beast is 2.5 miles of nothing but pure speed and incredible action at every single turn. Don't miss the Jack Links 500 NASCAR weekend at Talladega Super Speedway, April 25th through 27th. Get your tickets now at TalladegaSuperspeedway.com. Don't miss the action. TalladegaSuperspeedway.com.
Remember the name Way to Wellness if you're battling weight loss in your life. I'm Jim Dunaway from The Next Round. There was a time I was over 216 pounds until Way to Wellness helped me lose 45 pounds, and now for over 2 years, they've helped me keep that weight off. Here's their website, aplanforme.com, aplanforme.com. That's a great name for a website because there's no cookie-cutter plan. Everything is designed specifically for you. No contract, no sign-up fees, and your first consultation is free at Way to Wellness.
Hey, you. Days warming up, looking like spring. And at New Balance Birmingham, we've got the thing. What pops and what's fresh? Check the selects. Come together at New Balance Birmingham on Highway 280 right next to Chick-fil-A. New Balance Birmingham. We got now.
It's bow time. Tired of choosing between sweet and savory? Why not have both? Introducing Bojangles' new chicken and bowberry waffles. The bold Cajun chicken filet you love, now drizzled with a bowberry honey glaze and sandwiched between two warm waffles. Which means your favorite meal of the day just met your new favorite dish. And lucky for you, it's served all day. But it's only here for a limited time, so try chicken and bowberry waffles at Bojangles today. It's bow time.
Celebrate the best time of year, tournament time, with MyBookie.ag. Sign up right now with code NEXTROUND and receive a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000, plus a $10 casino chip. Tournament time is here, so enjoy it even more by playing along at MyBookie.ag. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie.ag. Use code NEXTROUND on your initial deposit for a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000, plus a $10 casino chip. Don't get caught by the buzzer. Sign up now at MyBookie.ag, code NEXTROUND.
I'm attorney Alexander Shunnarah, Alabama born, Alabama raised, and ready to fight for your rights. I have one of the largest firms in Alabama, and we are here to help you get the compensation you deserve. Call me, Alabama, 323-1000.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than those of other lawyers. Jim Dunaway, Lance Taylor, Ryan Brown. Live from the Birmingham Racecourse Casino Studios, the next round, presented by Bud Light, is on now.
More reaction to Florida's national championship coming up with Clay Travis. The Stallions started their first two games on the road, splitting 1-1. The three-time defending spring football champions have their home opener coming up.
And you can join the three-time champions for their home opener and post-game fireworks Friday night, April 11th, this Friday night, 7 o'clock. Get tickets at UFLStallions.com. UFLStallions.com is the Stallions. Return to protective, time to pack protective for the Stallions. Clay Travis is the founder of Outkick. You see him on Fox. He's with us now. Also at Clay Travis on social media. He's on the Shunnarah hotline. What's up, Clay? How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Doing fantastic. We were just talking with Stephen Pearl. We had talked about it before. It's the best Final Four any of us can remember. I don't know if you watch it every single year like most people, but I cannot remember one that was better. You had 3 games that went down to the last minute.
Yeah, and you also had different styles. You had a lot of elite playmakers. I thought the first couple of rounds of the tournament were fairly boring, and I think we may well have eliminated Cinderella from the NCAA tournament overall. But down the stretch run, it was really, really good. And 3 of the 4 games, as you guys mentioned in San Antonio, were pretty fantastic.
Todd Golden. I mean, look, year 3 already wins a national championship. If you're buying a young coach in this conference, you go Todd Golden. As far as winning a national championship again, would you go anyone outside of Kirby Smart or Todd Golden, football and basketball combined?
Well, I mean, I think Florida now has won 3 national titles in football. If
That
I'm
is
not
correct.
mistaken,
Yep.
and 3 in basketball.
Yep.
And I think they're the only school in America to have done that.
Yep.
And all of them are since 1996, if I'm not mistaken, and most of them are in the 21st century. So you're talking about an incredible string of championship success. I guess that's 5 titles since the 21st century started across the 2 sports. I think that look, there's a bunch of guys that I think are going to continue to make runs because I think the overall dollars that SEC schools are going to spend are going to be substantial. I think that Tennessee, Auburn, Alabama, all 3 of whom I think were also among the top 6 programs in the country, are going to look at Florida's title and they're going to say, man, we were close. I think they're going to go out and get even better. I really do, because I think all of them think, hey, we have a national championship caliber coach. And so I think they'll have elite talent. I think Kentucky is a little bit embarrassed because for a long time, basketball was their sport. Nobody else really cared. I think they're going to go start spending money as much as they can on basketball to try to get back into the mix, because as much as the rest of the SEC may love the overall level of success, what do you think Kentucky fans feel like looking up and saying, man, we're like the 6th best program in the SEC right now? I think that a little bit of embarrassment is going to lead to them spending money. So I actually think the SEC in basketball may really be able to go on a run. And the reason I say that, it's going to sound funny, most schools are going to spend the money they need to be competitive in football. I talk to a lot of different people, and they say, kind of what distinguishes, I'll give you one, Tennessee from Ohio State is Tennessee is spending big money on baseball, on women's basketball, on men's basketball, and on football, right? Like they are trying to compete across the entire spectrum of what I would call, probably you guys would agree with me, the 4 biggest sports in college, the 3 men's sports and women's basketball, which is clearly the biggest women's sport. Well, I know some people are really all in on gymnastics, but I don't know that there's tons of money being spent on gymnastics athletes in the SEC. And so I think the money that the SEC is going to have to spend on basketball is going to be more substantial than most schools have. And so I think you're going to start to see a bunch of these schools kind of stack and continue to run. I didn't even mention Arkansas, but the reason they went and got John Calipari was the idea that they're going to spend big money and be able to go out. I don't think it's crazy, guys, to think that in the next couple of years, 6 of the top 10 or 12 programs in the country can be from the SEC in basketball. And then I think on the football side, look, I mean, Josh Heupel's still a relatively young guy. I've seen some draft projections for next year. I don't know if you guys have seen this, where they have Nico as a top 5 pick. If that ends up being true, right? If Nico is going to be a first-round draft pick, top 5, top 10 caliber, which a lot of people think he has the talent to be, then I think Josh Heupel is near the top of the list of guys that could find themselves in the championship talk. He's got the number 1 quarterback in America committed for 2026 right now. He's got Nico. Tennessee is going to spend the money that they need to win at a high level NIL-wise. And so I think somebody like Josh Heupel would be in that mix, particularly if you're talking about guys who haven't won a title yet. And have a chance to win a title. But so I like a lot of guys in basketball because I think teams are going to spend a great deal of money. I would say in general, look, it's possible Chris Beard's the best coach in the SEC, right? If you're just telling me like straight up X's and O's and you want it combined with youth, and Golden just won at 39 years old, so that's a hard argument to make. I think there used to be, you'd look around the SEC and there were a lot of guys where you'd be like, I don't know that I buy this guy is going to get the most out of his team. I think we've passed that era.
I'm glad you brought Chris Beard up, because there was a story about Todd Golden back early in the basketball season, and Scott Strickland, the athletic director at Florida, did his due diligence, stayed with his guy, did an investigation, found no evidence, and that story has gone away. How much credit do you give Scott Strickland compared to, say, the Texas administration that lost one of their own in Chris Beard? You're very familiar with all these athletic directors in the SEC. What do you say about Scott Strickland?
I think that, this is funny because some people are going to get mad at the analogy, but I think a lot of college programs are adopting the Trump strategy. And you're going to say, well, what do you mean by that, Clay? I mean that you're just not going to allow outrage to impact the decisions that you make. It used to be the case that I'll use as an example what Tennessee did with Bruce Pearl at over the barbecue thing. In retrospect, what Tennessee should have said was, yeah, we're standing by Bruce Pearl. We don't think this is great, but he's an incredible coach. We'll take a punishment and we'll ride with it. And it seems to me that many schools have basically just kind of thumbed their nose at the NCAA, but they're also thumbing their nose at the idea that, if there's a bunch of bad articles written about us, we have to somehow do anything because the base is going to stick with the school. Right? If you're a diehard fan of a school and you think you have a good coach or a good player, the base is going to say, I don't really care what anybody else says. And much like the Trump base is going to stick with him, I think a lot of these athletic programs have recognized that there's a lot of noise, but if you just ride it out, the noise can't last forever. And in fact, it'll vanish after a week or 2 weeks, probably even less time than that, if you just stay committed. And if you think you got a guy who's going to win, then I think a lot of SEC and Big Ten programs are going to just continue to go down the path of, hey, we're going to do what's best for our school. We're not going to worry really about negative articles. And I don't think you're going to see a fan base really turn on its coach or its players because just win, baby. Al Davis had that right. If the players and the coaches help you win, nobody really cares about the noise.
And I agree with that. And I think conversely, well, this is probably a bad time to make this comparison. But conversely, I think with the size of buyouts now, if you're a coach that's struggling, and this is nothing new, but I was thinking about it the other day. Why did Mel Tucker come back up? Mel Tucker came back up for some reason the other day.
First of all, he's playing hide and go seek when they were trying to serve him a subpoena and they couldn't find him.
Yeah.
But Michigan State's under NCAA investigation for recruiting violations under Mel Tucker, and we were debating on whether or not he was suing, still trying to get his money. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah. Then
I think he'll get his money. I mean, a portion of it. Most of these things end up settling, and especially because NCAA violations just sound so quaint now. I mean, it's a little bit ridiculous, but nobody has any idea what their roster. College basketball, I know, just ended last night. Florida wins the title. Nobody has any idea what their rosters are going to look like because everybody's out on the open market right now. There are whatever it is, 1,500 kids that have put their names in the portal. We really are experimenting something we've never seen before at any level. We have basically perpetual free agency with no contracts that bind anybody. So from coaches all the way through players, it's really just hey, how much money do you have to spend, and see if you can spend that money judiciously. And but think about this. There's no way any of these guys are getting degrees, right? I mean, it used to be one reason they had the transfer sit out a year rule. Think about anybody who's listening right now that transferred into a different college. It's actually pretty complicated. You got guys that are going to play for 4 different schools in 5 years. How in the world are they getting any kind of education or any kind of degree at all? They're basically, call them what they are. They're professional athletes. I think that kind of changes some of the dynamics because it used to be, I think I talked about this with you guys, sort of the romantic idea of college athletics was somebody went and visited your school and they liked your school and that was why they picked, and that in some way made you feel connected to the players. I mean, Tennessee just got a transfer from Vanderbilt. I know Alabama and Auburn have had guys going back and forth with no gap in between. I mean, it's really just kind of an interesting market-based dynamic test, but there is no restriction in any respect and call it what it is. I mean, it's just pro sports.
Clay, I apologize if you were asked this 2 weeks ago when I was out, but I know it was 2 weeks ago you were on Air Force One with Donald Trump. What jumped out the most about Air Force One?
Well, this is like somewhat interesting to me, but when you're on a airplane flight normally, the stewardesses are walking around like, hey, everybody's got to be seated. Everybody's got to have their seatbelts on. At no point on Air Force One did they ever say people needed to be seated or have their seatbelts on. And I just thought that was kind of funny because you hear all the time,
even during
we
takeoff.
Can't take off until, we can't take off. And by the way, the minute that the airplane touched down, everybody was standing and moving around. If you try to do that on a commercial flight, the stewardesses will lose their mind. And then the other thing was, 3 minutes after the president's on the airplane, you take off, right? Like there's no taxiing. There's no waiting. There's no circling. You are barreling down the runway 3 minutes after the president of the United States is on the airplane. I think also the fact that there's only 50 people or so on the plane that I was on. I was on the 757, not the 747. But there's 13 media members there who are basically there to chronicle history in many ways. And I thought that was just kind of interesting. The president's travel party, at least the group that I was with, was actually very small relative to the amount of attention that is being paid, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I know in Escape from New York, Air Force One went down. But is that the safest you feel on a flight?
Well, if Air Force One goes down, then it's really like you're like 28th on the list of people that matter on the plane, right?
That's a good point. Yeah.
I did look outside. I was wondering, like, are we being followed by like fighter jets and other airplanes, if that makes sense? And I never saw like any sort of fighter jets that were outside. Sort of trailing us, which I was kind of curious to know whether or not those were there. But yeah, I felt very safe. I mean, I don't think that plane's going in the air with any sort of a mechanical irregularities.
I did mean to ask you when we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, having spent time now on Air Force One, do you feel the plot to the movie Air Force One with Harrison Ford is plausible? Like, do you think that's a plausible plot?
No, only in the context of the airplane is just not very big.
Okay.
Right. I mean, look, I don't know who could be elected that would be the, Harrison Ford baddest ass. President Trump's 78, so I don't think he's going to be fighting off terrorists.
No.
But in general, I did think it was. Look, that's a I've been to the Oval Office, which is a rare thing. I get it, to get to, stand with the president at the Resolute desk, all those things. But I think the number of people that would have flown on Air Force One is probably way less than the number of people that would have gone through the Oval Office at some point. Don't you guys think?
Absolutely.
In terms of things that you can do in America, flying on Air Force One is probably one of the rarest opportunities that exists anywhere in the country. So it's pretty unbelievable, pretty awesome to get to do.
All right, he is Clay Travis. Follow him on social media at Clay Travis. See him on Fox, and he is the founder of Outkick. Thank you, Clay. Have a great week.
Hey, will do. Appreciate y'all.
All right, buddy. Take care. Clay with us on the Shunnarah Hotline. Alexander Shunnarah Trial Attorneys, a national firm with Southern roots, headquartered in Birmingham. For more than 25 years, they've grown to 150 lawyers, supported by more than 500 dedicated team members. They've recovered more than $2 billion, maintaining Alexander's core values of integrity, mastery, passion, and success. If you find yourself in need of a lawyer, call the Alexander Shunnarah Trial Attorneys. You pay nothing unless they win your case.
205-969-8100, the number that I called more than two decades ago. Michelson Laser Vision. I wore the contacts for years and years. I was wasting money each and every year on the contacts. Finally made the call, went to see Dr. Mark Michelson, had the 2200 vision after the procedure, which only took 12 minutes for both eyes. 20/15 vision, better than 20/20. Make the phone call that I made. Ask for Amy. Tell her the next round sent you. She's going to hook you up with a hassle-free consultation. 205-969-8100 or michelsonlaservision.com. Wasn't your hall pass always Jennifer Aniston?
I don't
Interesting question.
I don't think it was exactly
I've got a
Jennifer
reason.
Aniston.
Okay, all right.
I thought you said that before, that Maggie had, I forgot her hall
Rob
passes.
Lowe was hers, I thought.
I can't remember.
Okay, as you think about this.
Jennifer Aniston, I think, was a period of time where I think she was considered by most middle-aged man the hottest woman in America.
Do you think, though, if guys could legitimately have their 24-hour hall pass or fly on Air Force One, what decision do you think the guy would make?
I can send out photos of me on Air Force One.
Yeah.
So if I'm looking for the social pop.
Oh, so
there,
have you been on Air Force One?
No, I'm just saying if I chose
Oh,
that one,
I
that's
got you.
the one of the two I could send the photos out on.
I mean, sending out photos of the other might get more attention.
It might. I'm just saying there's one I would have sent photos
Which
of.
would you choose?
I would go Air Force One. Now, different spot in life, maybe
Right.
10, 15, 20 years ago, maybe it was a little bit different. But I would rather be on Air Force One because I do agree. I mean, like, how many just normal people get that opportunity?
Not a lot, but you two were not here. I don't think you were. You were on the road when we talked to Clay about it. I was unaware of this, that Outkick had to pay his spot there, and it was like $5,000. Like when the Associated Press and ABC News and Fox News all fly with the president somewhere, they pay the freight. Like the U.S. government, which I guess as you think about it doesn't make sense. The U.S. government does not cover that travel.
Yeah,
You're paying.
not the 13 press corps people that are in there. Oh,
yeah.
so
the press agencies have to pay for that spot.
so every flight that the AP is on, they pay $5,000.
Whatever the number is.
It does
$5,000.
make sense, though.
Yeah.
No, I thought they paid it if they were doing a special and they came on board. Blah, blah, blah. I thought
Clay said
the
his
White House
yeah.
press corps, the 13 that are chosen to go through history, to document history, however he phrased it, I thought they were part of the Free Press First Amendment that travels with the president. I thought it was the White House press corps.
No, I think
Dua
they had to pay
Lipa
the
could
way.
probably get $5,000
Probably
too.
so. Yeah.
Where would you go?
I mean, I would love to fly on an Air Force One, but I also like a lot of other things. But that's Michelson's viewing menu, which we set up for you there. What are you watching tonight, man?
We've got a few different things you can watch tonight. If you're a Red Sox fan or just a baseball fan in general, Netflix has a new series called The Clubhouse, A Year with the Red Sox. And it goes inside the dugout and gets up close and personal with the 2024 Boston Red Sox during their roller coaster season. So I don't know if you guys like that sort of.
I do
like that.
how
I just don't like the Red
progressing.
Sox.
Yeah.
Well,
It's a
there
good
you go.
organization to follow, though. I mean, for something like that.
Better than following the White Sox.
Have you seen the studio yet?
Wow.
I mean, Scott
Well,
was
he
just
would
in
agree.
pain all last year.
I know. You've lived it back there.
It hasn't stopped.
New Apple show Seth Rogen helped create it called The Studio, where he becomes a studio head. It's really good.
I watched the first episode.
Yeah, did you like it?
Yeah, I
I
liked
mean,
it, yeah.
especially if you like Hollywood stuff. I mean, Bryan Cranston, Catherine O'Hara. I mean, it's got a lot of cameos. Martin Scorsese. It looks like it's got a lot of potential, though. I thought it was really good.
I've heard good things about it. We've also got 2 new episodes of My Next Guest Needs No Introduction with David Letterman. We've got an episode with Miley Cyrus, where she performs an intimate show and opens up to Dave about songwriting, sobriety, and separating herself from Hannah Montana. And then the second episode is Charles Barkley. He goes golfing with Dave and shares his unfiltered opinions on the NBA and WNBA, his transition to analyst, and the fight against racism.
I've actually seen that.
Oh, have you? Was
Yeah.
it good?
Both Miley and Barkley. Yeah, it was good.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then if you're not interested in either one of those, at 7 o'clock, you can flip over to AMC and watch The Book of Eli, or you can flip over to Paramount and watch Django Unchained.
Django's great. Did you watch 1923?
I did not know.
I finished it, and it was season 2, the series finale, or the season finale, I thought. And I was like, this thing's got to be done. Everybody died. And then I Googled it, and it was like, yeah, it was only 2 seasons.
That was it. They just wiped
I mean,
it out. Yeah.
it was like an hour and a half, and I had no idea what was coming. I was like, oh, my God. Like
who's left?
Yeah, they can't move forward.
Yeah, who's left here? All right, that's what he's watching, brought to you by our friends at Michelson. Also, it's time to get out spring and summer times with our friends at JohnstonRVCenter.com.
I-65 exit 304 in Coleman, 334 in Decatur, where you find Johnston RV Center. They have got RVs from the tow behinds, the toy haulers, the fifth wheels, the motorhomes, really in every price range, as low as $129 a month with approved credit. And you can also make sure you're covered forever with that RV warranty forever on anything that is new or qualifying pre-owned. You get that at Johnston RV Center. See more in person, I-65 exit 304 in Coleman, 334 in Decatur, or online, JohnstonRVCenter.com.
We'll get back to in the next segment more of Florida's national championship win and a lot of preseason, or not even preseason, way too early top 25s. We'll do that starting in the next segment. But right here, we mentioned it yesterday. We didn't really get to it, but he ended up being introduced yesterday. Bucky McMillan as Texas A&M's head coach. Cut number 6, Tyler. First off, it's not the Woo Pig Suey at Arkansas, but when you saw off varsity's horns for the first time, it's a big deal at Texas A&M. So here's Bucky McMillan. Just listen in here, and then we'll talk about Bucky's first day as the head coach of the Texas A&M Aggies. But listen in to Bucky McMillan sawing varsity's horns off for the first time.
Oh, God, they cannot do anything that is not cringy.
No, and like Trev Albert's obviously not used to it yet. The
nobody
dude on the
likes it.
far right to us is the guy that's been there for a while,
Yeah,
right?
look at him singing right
He knows the
along.
words.
Yeah.
The guy in the blue shirt barely knows the words.
Yeah.
Trev is like, I'm getting paid a lot to do this. Bucky's like, I'm getting paid more than Trev to do this. Now, we know Bucky, sort of.
Yes,
and,
I know Bucky.
How uncomfortable. I know. I wasn't going to jump in how deep we know Bucky. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most uncomfortable.
10.
Yeah, I was going to go 9.
Yeah, I think 10. I don't know how you prepare for that. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe on the flight out, you're like, hey, you're
Somebody
going to be
did tell you.
rocking back and forth.
Yeah.
Let me show you what Elko, how he did it.
Yeah.
And maybe this is the way you can do it. We are working on getting Bucky on this week. Obviously, his week's been crazy, but I think we'll probably talk to him sooner than later.
Yeah, I'm very happy for Bucky. I used to think the most uncomfortable press conference was Bob Petrino calling the Hogs in the middle of the night. He looked like he was absolutely miserable, like it was a hostage situation where somebody is behind him with a gun in the small of his back, and he's having to do it.
Turns out not his most uncomfortable news conference in Arkansas.
As it turned out, it would get worse there. That was before I actually paid attention to Texas A&M coach introductions, and they were worse.
How will
do they have a tailor that provides the suits? I mean, outside of I'm guessing the chancellor. I mean, all those gray suits are pretty much the same suit.
They
it
really
looks
are,
like.
yeah.
Hey, it's Charcoal Monday, right?
I thought it was a cult before. I didn't know they all wore the same suits.
So the Bucky hire at Texas A&M, I'm worried about his very first year because the portal, the people they lost, Buzz when he leaves, he doesn't leave a lot of stuff behind when he leaves.
And you're late getting to the portal, as you said.
You're late getting to the portal. I worry about him the first year. But then what can you expect of Bucky?
I think much like Steven said, and I think it was interesting that he brought up Todd Golden, because when Golden got hired from San Francisco, a lot of people were scratching their heads. I don't really like this hire. I don't know much about him. And I think that's going to be Bucky. And you remember years ago, I mean, there were a lot of Bucky backers that were like, when the Alabama job opened up multiple times, this is the guy that should get the job. And a lot of people were like, job's way too big for him. I mean, look, he goes straight from winning 5 championships at Mountain Brook to 4 consecutive 20-win seasons at Samford, had Kansas on their back heels last year in the first round of the NCAA tournament. I think he's going to do really, really well. Like how well, I don't know. We've never seen Texas A&M basketball get to the next level, but I think he can win 22 to 25 games a year and consistently be in the NCAA tournament. Guy knows how to coach basketball, and it's a fun style of basketball.
That's the key. They will play it very differently than Buzz played it there. Can he get to that kind of success? But it's going to be a more entertaining game to watch.
I would agree that style. I think it's going to be more, I think it's another team in this conference that's going to play more the style of Alabama, Florida, and Kentucky that they are playing, right? I think there's yet another team in this conference that is going to play that type of basketball where
and I put A&M with Tennessee, right?
I think it's much closer to what Tennessee and Rick Barnes are doing. Yeah,
Auburn's a hybrid. They're in the middle.
Yeah, they're somewhere in the
both.
middle. Yeah, I would say Arkansas, Tennessee, A&M. Calipari's still kind of that old school.
I didn't see this coming. You texted me on Friday about this. Hey, look, there's a little buzz out there. mean, where did this originate? Do you guys have any idea?
I don't really.
For Trev Alberts to go out and make this hire, I mean, in basketball circles, people are like, okay, well, maybe this has got a little something to it. I just don't know where the connection was. And, I would have thought like maybe Mississippi State one day or maybe a job out of the American from Sanford. But to go from Sanford, and he's been coaching a long time, I know, at 41, though, and to get the A&M job, I'm guessing, what, $5 or $6 million a year?
Well, you
I haven't seen the numbers.
Yeah. You've been coaching. I hear it's $5 million.
Yeah, $25 million deal over 5 years.
Which is an exceptional raise from what he was making at Sanford, which is a private school, but we've all heard that number. I mean, this would be...
He's set a lottery now.
5 or 6 times what he was making at Sanford, yeah.
I mean, he's set for life, really, because, even if the bottom falls out, he could be a top assistant with somebody or come back to a smaller school. And I don't foresee that happening. I think he's going to have success.
Yeah, but I think at least 1 year they'll have to be patient because it's a tough league for him to go in there and have to create a roster from nothing. And
Todd Golden didn't get to the NCAA tournament his first year.
Yeah,
so,
that's why
you're right. Be patient.
All right. When we come back, we'll look to the future while also remembering what Florida did last night. But some fast. I don't even know how you do these way too early top 25s when there's still 1,000 people in the portal.
Portal still
and that's why they're so all over the place.
Yeah.
Like I've seen Auburn at 24. I've seen Auburn at 8.
Okay, next segment we're going to get to all those and run them down. The show being brought to you by our friends at Hemphill. Tell us about Hemphill again. Crazy weather day. We're still cold. It's going to be 67 today, but eventually back to the 80s.
Yeah,
and
it
90s.
actually got so cold last night in the house because I had the ACC just running. I know you don't believe in this. I actually had to just turn the ACC off, or the ACC. The AC.
They were turned off.
Yeah. The ACC got turned off in the first round.
Our guys at Hemphill, though, it's the name Birmingham has trusted since 1954 for all of your plumbing, heating, and cooling. Any of those issues arise, your home or business, Adam, Chad, Andrew, the guys there, they are ready for your call. Tell them the next round sent you, 205-229-2090. Hard to stop a train or hemphillservices.com.
Hey, when it came time to redo the master bathroom in the Brown home, my wife Jennifer got on the internet, scoured the internet, looking for the right person for the job. Scott is showing you some before and after photos of what she found. Brad Bell, A+, AlabamaBathRemodels.com. For more before and afters, AlabamaBathRemodels.com. Brad came out and bid our job. I'm glad that's who we picked, man. His crews were terrific. They were on time every day, which is, if you've worked with contractors, that can be saying a lot. They did good, clean work at the end of every work day. They brought us in to show us what had been accomplished that day to make sure it met our expectations. And I'll go and tell you, it did every single day. They did tremendous work. They can do it for you. Brad specializes in master bath, kitchen, and master bedroom closets. That's his specialty. Master bath, kitchen, and master bedroom closets. You can see more at AlabamaBathRemodels.com or call Brad, 205-422-1758. That's 205-422-1758. Brad Bell, AlabamaBathRemodels.com.
Follow Scott Forrester on Twitter at Scott Forrester TV.
I'm attorney Alexander Shunnarah, Alabama born, Alabama raised, and ready to fight for your rights. I have one of the largest firms in Alabama, and we are here to help you get the compensation you deserve. Call me, Alabama, 323-1000.
Your representation is made that the quality of legal services being performed is greater than those of other lawyers.
Celebrate the best time of year, tournament time, with MyBookie.ag. Sign up right now, code NEXTROUND, and receive a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. Plus, a $10 casino chip. Tournament time is here, so enjoy it even more by playing along at MyBookie.ag. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie.ag. Use code NEXTROUND on your initial deposit for a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. Plus, $10 casino chip. Don't get caught by the buzzer. Sign up now at MyBookie.ag, code NEXTROUND. Stop by the New York Butcher Shop and pick up the finest in certified Angus prime beef steaks and burgers, premium pork chops, ribs, and all-natural chicken cut to order just for you. Their chef-prepared entrees and side dishes are the perfect dinner-to-go choice for your family and are ready to heat at home. With a great selection of fine wines and desserts, the New York Butcher Shop is your one-stop dinner shop. 2 locations to serve you, Cahaba Heights and on Highway 119 in Greystone. The New York Butcher Shop. Rare quality, well-done service.
The biggest and baddest track in NASCAR, Talladega Superspeedway, is ready to put on another amazing show in April. If you've never been to this track, you've got to come check it out. 2.5 miles of nothing but pure speed and incredible action at every turn. Don't miss the Jack Links 500 NASCAR weekend at Talladega Superspeedway. It's April 25th through the 27th, and you can get your tickets right now at TalladegaSuperspeedway.com. That's TalladegaSuperspeedway.com.
If you are a business that does a lot of printing, like a car dealership, mortgage company, real estate office, tax office, bank, school, or university, print more and spend less with ImageCraft. ImageCraft is located at 1151 Gadsden Highway in Trussville, just down from the Pinnacle Shopping Center, and online at imagecraft.net. They carry all the major brands like HP, Brother, Canon, Dell, Lexmark, Konica Minolta, Kyocera, Ricoh, Sharp, and Xerox. Shop in-store, mention TNR for a 10% discount. Shop online at imagecraft.net with coupon code TNR10. ImageCraft. Print more, spend less.
It's bow time. Tired of choosing between sweet and savory? Why not have both? Introducing Bojangles' new chicken and bowberry waffles. The bold Cajun chicken filet you love, now drizzled with a bowberry honey glaze and sandwiched between two warm waffles. Which means your favorite meal of the day just met your new favorite dish. And lucky for you, it's served all day. But it's only here for a limited time, so try chicken and bowberry waffles at Bojangles today. It's bow time.
Hey, Lance Taylor from the next round to tell you about my friends at Michelson Laser Vision, located conveniently UAB Highlands. Almost 20 years ago, I went in for the procedure. Only took 12 minutes for both eyes. When I went in, I had 2200 vision. I was legally blind. Now I have 20/15 vision, still 19 years later. Make the call today. Schedule a hassle-free consultation. 969-8100. Dr. Mark Michelson, Dr. Jen Michelson, Michelson Laser Vision. Make sure you tell them the next round sent you. 969-8100 or MichelsonLaserVision.com.
The 15th annual Logan Martin Lake Fest and Boat Show presented by AmFirst is May 9th through the 11th on Logan Martin Lake in Pell City. The Logan Martin Lake Fest and Boat Show is totally free to the public. Bama's biggest in-water boat show, 80 boats, lake lifestyle vendors, food trucks, beer garden, and live music all weekend long. There's fireworks on Friday night to honor veterans, a mermaid parade on Saturday, and free mimosas for Mama on Sunday. All by going to LoganMartinLakeFest.com, LoganMartinLakeFest.com.
I'm attorney Alexander Shunnarah, Alabama born, Alabama raised, and ready to fight for your rights. I have one of the largest firms in Alabama, and we are here to help you get the compensation you deserve. Call me, Alabama, 323-1000.
Your representation states that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than those of other lawyers.
We were just talking in break about who could fill that Samford job here. I've heard Jared Haas could be in play. So
I know
we'll see.
Jared, and Jared was a really cool guy, and he was fun to get to know his short time at UAB.
Yep.
Lived over in the Mountain Brook and the Crestline area, and I know him and his wife loved Birmingham.
Loved it, and Stanford is where he went.
Yep,
lost
that's
that
right.
job, and I think he was with the Pac-12 network for 1 year.
Think so.
And now I don't know what he's doing, but obviously he's got connections to a big blue blood program. He's coached his way into a major program. I don't know where Samford to go, but I've heard his name being tossed around there. Show today, before we talk about the future of basketball, being brought to you by our friends at Bojangles, Brownie.
You can make an easy decision. Hiring a coach might be a tough decision. An easy decision? Lunch Bojangles. It's bow time when it gets to lunchtime for Bojangles. And right now you get those bite-sized hand-breaded chicken, fried to crispy perfection, perfect for sharing, snacking, or when you are on the go. Just don't call it a nugget. That's not what it is. It's a bow bite. The only hard part, choosing from the 6 dipping sauces. One for every taste, from the creamy house-made ranch to the sweet and spicy honey peach pepper sauce. It all depends on the mood you are in. Head to your nearest Bojangle today. Discover the dippable, shareable, craveable bow bites. It's bow time.
Can you give me cut number 1, Tyler? Here's Todd Golden on being national champions, and then we'll put a book on this, a bow on this season, and look at some future top 25s. But here's Golden on the national champion Gators.
It's a heck of an accomplishment. I'm super proud of everybody in my program, top to bottom. My staff, who's been together for 3 years, has worked incredibly hard to help get our players to this point. And our players, they've been the difference all the way along. Been incredibly consistent all year, have worked with a great work ethic, and obviously we have an incredibly talented group, one of the most talented groups individually in America, but I do think what separates us and what has separated us all season long is our team talent and the way our guys have played together and for each other all year. And because of that, we can call each other national champions for the rest of our lives.
Yeah, and look, they get Aberdeen back, they get Houck back, they get Condon back, they get Chinaloo back, they get Hanlotton back.
Oh.
That big front line is all coming back. not expected to go to the NBA or the portal. So they get their muscle back underneath and their athleticism. They just need to reload at guard.
Well, I think it's an easy sell. I mean, look, do you want to play in a fun offense where you can score a lot of points? We had a guy score 30-plus in back-to-back regional finals and semifinals of the Final Four for the first time since 1979 in Larry Bird. And by the way, he won a national championship. Do you want to come in and fill this role? I think it's going to be a pretty easy sell for him. What kind of money is this guy going to make after year 3 winning a national championship? What's the extension?
Yeah, it depends on what went on in conversations with Scott Strickland back in October with that story that went on.
True.
He may be
somebody burned the pictures.
It may be.
You remember how much this lighter's worth to you?
Yeah.
Don't think we don't have copies somewhere.
I mean, but when you think about his career arc, to, like Lance said, not even make the tournament your first year at Florida, which anymore, that's pretty disappointing.
Yeah,
I mean,
when you're a nobody, get hired from San Francisco, where basically everybody remembers you as Bruce Pearl's ball boy, basically, at Auburn, and you're the head coach of Florida, and you don't go to the tournament the first
I'll
year.
let you get to your point, but San Francisco, like those 3 years, he made it to one tournament his final year, and he didn't win a game. So, like, how many guys would get hired from San Francisco to the SEC without winning a tournament game? A lot of times you'll fall in love with a mid-major that wins a couple of games.
When they win games, but not when they don't. And then he gets to Florida. He doesn't go the first year, goes the second year, and loses an absolute track meet with Colorado, right? And then you get to the tournament and you go to the Final Four. I mean, it's crazy to think about. Absolutely crazy to think about. You're right about that, by the way.
Yeah. That is crazy. Okay, let's look at some projections. We'll look into the future. Brought to you by our friends at Lakefest, Brownie. Lakefest is a future event coming up in May, and then we'll look to the future of basketball.
Yeah, Logan Martin Lakefest is coming up. It's presented by AmFirst, and they're doing something they have never done at Logan Martin Lakefest, and it's going to help you save. I'll tell you about that, but don't forget to head over to Logan Martin Lakefest. You can see more online. LoganMartinLakefest.com, LoganMartinLakefest.com, May 9 through 11, right there at Logan Martin Lake in Pell City. Absolutely free to you. Biggest in-water boat show, 80 boats and vehicles on display, lake lifestyle vendors, food trucks, beer garden, live music all weekend, tons of giveaways, fireworks Friday night to honor the veterans, mermaids and mateys parade on Saturday, free mimosas for mom on Sunday. First time in the history of Lakefest is what I'm talking about. AmFirst is going to give you a half percent off, your interest rates. Now, that doesn't sound like a ton, but start doing the math. That's like $100 a month, it could be, and up to $12,000 a year over the life of the loan. That's significant savings. LoganMartinLakefest.com. That's LoganMartinLakefest.com.
All right, Forrester, you're in control, man. Pick absolutely any of the way too early top 25s. Just let me know who we got here if I can't tell off the top.
We'll go John Rothstein first. I got 2 of them.
Is he asleep yet? He says we don't sleep till May, Rothstein does.
John Rothstein's way too early top 25. For those listening, I'll hit the highlights for you. Houston projected number 1. Again, they'll have Uzan and Sharp back. Purdue 2, Duke 3, Alabama 4, Michigan 5, and the SEC teams now, Auburn 12, Florida 14 with all the people I just named, Kentucky 15, next SEC team, Arkansas 18, Tennessee 20,
That's it.
And Mississippi State 25, Brown.
I am stunned after the season we've just watched how Rothstein has one SEC team in the top 11.
Yeah.
Alabama. I mean, that is crazy that we just watched the best conference we've ever seen, and you look ahead to next year and you're like, we don't even know if they're going to be that good nationally.
Okay, Alabama with, Mo Dioubate to Kentucky. We'll talk more on that in a second maybe. Phylon likely NBA.
According to Rothstein, he had him as a departure.
Yeah.
So Rothstein feels like he's headed to the NBA.
But the starting lineup of Aiden Holloway at the point, Latrell Wrightsell shooting. Right now, Stevenson, Darian Reed, and then a big man, Sherrell or the Williamson kid from Bucknell or Taylor Bowen from Florida State. Not a bad roster.
No, look, and you trust Nate Oates. I think we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Like, whatever guys do end up leaving, you just believe that Nate Oates is going to be able to fill this void.
And then for Auburn at 12 there, Chad Baker-Mazara, do you think he'll play?
I do. I think he'll be back.
Yeah,
I do too.
I want just real quick. The way Steven talked about that it does not sound like there is any consideration in him not being invited back, right?
That's
I mean, when you all heard
Right.
Steven say that, right?
No, I took it as he
If
has
he
the
wants
option
to, he's
come
there.
back.
Yeah, if everything is clear and he wants to, he's got a spot.
I said this on our TikTok video yesterday. I think Pettiford is projected in most circles between 30 to 39 now. Sort of dropped a little bit after that semifinal game. Dropped a few spots in some services.
And by the way, we could not get a definitive how tall he is.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes.
He's 5'11".
That speaks volumes.
It does.
You read into that too.
Yeah.
It spoke uncomfortable volumes, in fact.
I kept pushing a little bit.
Yeah.
I noticed. I don't know.
So
With
I'm-
these shoes on.
So I'm projecting Todd Pettiford back. So
I think
Mazzara,
so.
Pettiford, and then Keyshawn Hall is a top 10 portal get so far, strong, a power forward, basically. So that's 3 guys, and then you've got to insert 2 out of the portal, I assume, or one of these freshmen that are coming in. They're projected 12th. A few more unanswered questions, but still potential out there for Auburn.
Well, I mean, look, if you knew, and I talked to a guy yesterday that's a big Auburn guy, and he said he's talked to people down there, and he said he believes that Pettiford, CBM, and Chaney Johnson. Now, you heard Steven say it's going to be an uphill battle.
It is, yeah.
But if you were to get Chaney Johnson,
That'd be huge.
Yeah, and I think he could be like maybe the breakout player in the SEC next year.
I wish I had confidence for Chaney Johnson. I just don't have confidence that that's going to work out.
I do, because I'm not sure at the way things are right now. I'm not sure the NCAA can handle lawsuits or losing lawsuits.
But can you imagine
I think
the
it's
gates?
easier for the NCAA to say,
just play?
All right, if you did not play at the D1 level, come on.
I think that would be fair. I think that's the way to do it. But can you imagine the gates that open up?
No.
And then do you get to?
Because I'm going to challenge, my challenge is, wait a second, I played at Division II where there was not NIL opportunities. Now I'm at Division I. Why don't I get 4 or 5 years at the Division I level to make money in America? Well, you're basically restricting my chance to have an income.
And then I would also wonder, would it be retroactive? Like if, I'll use me. I didn't do this, but if I had played golf, say at North Alabama for 2 years, and then transferred to Jacksonville State and only got 2 years, could I go back and say, no, wait a minute, shouldn't I have 2 years of eligibility left too? Because those other 2 are at the Division II. If it's true
are
now,
you in good academic standings?
I'm not, but I was just using me as a theoretical example.
I just was wondering. I was just wondering. I got my degree by the extension of a decimal point.
Did you really?
Oh, yeah. I'd have to go back for another semester.
Was it in one class or your overall average?
It was the overall average.
So your overall average had to be a C average, and you were like 69 point something.
That got to a point where they were like, that's a C.
Just round it up and get rid of this idiot.
Yeah.
He's probably can't pay the tuition again anyway.
He's not going to be a doctor.
What's
Pre-med. Come on.
What's this idiot going to do?
So that's one poll. What's your next one?
This one's from ESPN's Jeff Borzello.
Oh, ESPN's Jeff Borzello. Houston, Purdue, familiarity.
Okay.
Louisville's been great in the portal. UConn, really good portal and recruiting. Michigan, good in the portal. That's your top 5. SEC teams. Kentucky.
Active in the portal the last couple days. They've done a lot.
It is interesting, not a SEC team in the top 5.
I agree.
Kentucky 6. Mo Diabate's portal pickup right now. 7th is Arkansas, Duke, St. John, UCLA. Alabama 11, Auburn slotted at 12. Familiar place
right
there.
Where they were, yeah.
Yep. And then Florida 19. I mean, what do they not like about Aberdeen, Houck, Condon, Chinaloo, and Hanlon? That's a good place to. I know they're all bigs, but.
And none of them are named Walter Clayton.
Yeah. Tennessee 21, Texas 24. Some of the notable names there. By the way, North Carolina preseason highly ranked last year. 25th in that ranking there. That would get Hubert Davis fired probably. So there's a ranking there from you guys.
Again, you've got 2 SEC teams in the top 10 this time, but we were just conditioned to see the top 10 be all SEC this past season.
But Michigan has done stuff in the portal. Louisville's done stuff in the portal.
Yeah, look, we talked about Yaks. If Dusty May can land him and he doesn't decide to go to the NBA, BYU is a team nobody's talking about with this freshman that, what's he getting, $6 million, $8 million?
Yeah, BYU.
And year 2 for Kevin Young. I don't know if they'll ever figure out defense. They might not need to.
Yeah, I would say they probably need to at least stand in somebody's way after watching them play Alabama.
They don't need to get your hands up at least.
They don't need to run up against a team that's going to shoot, 51 threes in a game.
They probably should go around screens and not under screens.
I do think BYU is going to be an interesting team to watch moving forward, though, because people in basketball circles, they talk about Kevin Young, and this guy knows basketball. And if you start getting maybe the best freshman, at least everybody believes this is going to be the best freshman coming in next year, watch out for BYU.
Any more, Scott, or is that it for you?
I do have one from On 3 here.
On 3. This is the On 3 way too early. Okay, I like this one best, I think. I don't know why, but
why? Bama's third?
Oh, Alabama's third. Yes, okay. Houston, Duke, Alabama 3, Kentucky 4, Louisville 5. Then the Gators at 6. That makes sense. Iowa State, North Carolina, Kansas, and St. John's. Michigan and Purdue 11 and 12. UConn 13. Arkansas 14. Auburn 15. Tennessee is at 18, and
so that's 5 SEC top 15. But I mean, all of these polls, they're not saying the SEC is going to be nearly as good as it was this year.
And do you think they can match what they did last year?
I don't know. I mean, I'd like to see how the portal shakes out.
I don't think they're going to fall off, though. I mean, just fall way off.
But after UConn won back-to-back, if we rewound to April 8th of last year, whatever the date was, you think anybody was talking about Florida winning the national championship after one and done?
No.
In Golden's second season?
You're absolutely
right.
I
bet they weren't in anyone's top 10.
Me either. That's a look at the upcoming basketball season. It'll start soon enough. Brought to you by our friends at MyBookie, mybookie.ag.
By the way, Cryer out of eligibility. That's really the only loss for Houston, I think, unless Uzan goes. Some people think Uzan could go to the pros.
He could. Sharp is back.
Yeah, so. I mean, I think they get almost everything back. MyBookie.ag, code next round. MyBookie.ag, code next round. Let's take a quick look at a couple of point spreads today. I mentioned the Braves. A little bit of an underdog against the Philadelphia Phillies. If you've been watching the Braves, it's not going to come as a huge surprise. The schedule just continues to be tough, obviously, and they've struggled to score runs. You can play that game right there at mybookie.ag, code next round, mybookie.ag, code next round. If you have interest in the Masters, and who doesn't? You can play that right there. Scotty Scheffler is your Masters favorite at mybookie.ag, and Rory McIlroy just behind him. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere. MyBookie.ag, code next round. MyBookie.ag, code next round. When you use that code, you get a 50% sign-on bonus up to $1,000. 50% up to $1,000. Also throw in a $10 casino chip for you to use in the casino and live casino area at MyBookie.ag. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere. MyBookie.ag, code next round.
And our friends at New York Butcher Shop, LT, before lunchtime rolls around.
Oh, look, you can stop in, get one of those huge deli sandwiches, take half home for dinner tonight, but they've got the substation set up. They've got their specialty sandwiches. You can create your own. Not only that, the fresh meats to go, from the steaks to the ribs to the chicken. Fantastic selection of fine wines and desserts. Incredible side dishes made in-house fresh every single day. One-stop dinner shop, 2 locations, the original Cahaba Heights, Highway 119 in Greystone. Tell Jim and the fine folks the next round sent you. Rare quality, well-done service. It is the New York Butcher Shop.
Okay, we're about to do the college football spotlight, Tyler, if you'll get that ready. As we get to that, I want you to think about last night's national championship, and then we'll put it in perspective. Hit it, Tyler.
The College Football Spotlight.
It is presented by our guy, Alexander Shunnarah. One thing that Alex wanted to do was build a firm that could handle any issue his community face. Well, they now not only handle any personal injury claim, but claims for fire and storm damage, bad drug and device claims, disability, workers' compensation, a host of other claims. Shunnarah Trial Attorneys. If you find yourself in need of an attorney, you pay nothing unless they win your case. Shunnarah.com. That is Shunnarah.com.
Okay, Florida is the first program to have 3 men's basketball and 3 college football national champions. They're the first program to do that.
It's hard to believe.
Hard to believe. But they are the best dual sport program out there of the 2 big sports, because you look at the basketball national champions that they've gotten into the club with. UCLA's got 11, Football is way off. They do have a national championship back in the day, but way off. Kentucky's got 8 basketball. North Carolina's got 6. UConn's got 6. Duke's got 5. Indiana's got 5. Playoffs this year in college football, but it's not sustainable. Kansas has 4. Villanova plays 3. They play at the they've got 3 national champions at a lower level of college football. And then there's Florida. There's not a better combination football basketball program than
over the last 20 years, but I think the best combo program right now is Alabama. But, I've got a lot of expectation for Kalen DeBoer in year 2, year 3 moving forward. But, if you guys had to put the best combo program currently, I know Florida just won a national championship, and Napier came on a little bit.
Just help me out. Give me any one of the next year's projected top 25. Anyway, let's bring the logos back up and look at football.
USA Today.
Okay, here we go. This is Borzello's ESPN. Houston, nope. Purdue, nope. Louisville, not bad, but no. Michigan.
Yeah, Michigan has won national championships in football and basketball, but not a ton.
Okay,
they've got the one basketball.
I do have a lot of confidence that Dusty May will be there for a long time, and there's Final Four trips in his future. I don't see it with Shunnarah Moore, though. I know the lasting look against Ohio State and Alabama was good, and we'll see what happens, but I just don't know if Michigan football has the staying power.
Yeah, Michigan and Alabama are the discussion, and then you go all the way down to Tennessee, Ohio State, Texas, down at the bottom.
Kansas could quickly pop, which is crazy, but Lance Leopold, somebody's going to win the Big 12 every year, and if Arizona State was able to do it last year, it's not going to surprise me if Kansas is able to do it this year.
Well, Auburn obviously hopes Hugh Freeze is going to pop. You wonder if BYU can spend enough money in NIL to make their football big again now that it's in the Big 12. Texas Tech is spending a lot. Good basketball season. Can their football program take the jump?
I would put Alabama 1, Michigan 2. I would, but
yeah.
But I would just say historically there's never been a more balanced program than the Florida Gators. Now, they've done all of it in the last 30 years, basically. When you start to think about it, Spurrier won his national championship in 96. Is that right?
96, and then 2 Urban Meyers.
2 Urban Meyers. Florida won their first national championship in basketball in 06.
Yeah.
And they've won 3 total. So basically, they've done it all in the last 30 years, but I can't think of a program in football and basketball that's had more balance than Florida's.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned Michigan, but they've only got the 1 basketball championship, right? And that was the Glenn Rice
1989 over Seton Hall.
They've got 2 football championships that I can remember.
One was a split in 97.
One was a split, but I'll still give them credit for it. And the other was obviously outright in the playoffs under Harbaugh. Ohio State's one we normally put in this group at how balanced they are, but really their basketball program.
But Alabama is always there in football, and I just think, Nate Oates didn't go anywhere.
No. Yeah. Moving forward, for Alabama.
I would agree on the Nate Oates thing there. Just interesting that Florida is in the blue blood. The only programs that's got more national championships in basketball than them are the bluest of bloods: UCLA, Kentucky, UConn, North Carolina, Duke, Indiana, Kansas.
They are the definition of new money.
Yeah.
But look at what they've accomplished with that new money.
Yep.
More than almost any other program in America, really.
That's our spotlight brought to you by Alexander Shunnarah.
Yeah, Shunnarah.com. You don't pay unless they win your case. Shunnarah.com.
All right, so basketball season comes to a halt. Football spotlight there. One personal note before we get to the top of the hour and run through a bunch of other stuff that we want to get to, including reaction to Mo Dioubate to Kentucky and future betting odds to win national championships. And Julio Jones' legacy. We didn't get to that yesterday either. I want to get to that. But our buddy Brock Heward made a decision that was announced yesterday, and I want y'all's just thoughts on the decision. If I read this correctly, he is leaving the college football broadcast booth for Fox to be his son's high school tight end coach at Valor Christian High School. Am I right about this?
Yes.
Yeah, you are.
Titus, his son Titus?
Yep.
Well, I don't know what grade Titus is in, but Brock's walking away from broadcasting to be a high school football coach.
He'll be a junior. So I texted with Brock and just told him congratulations. And before I texted him, we were kind of talking about this, and this is pure speculation. But, Brock's dad was the high school coach for, him, his cousins, his brother Damon. Brock has kind of told me, he's one of these guys that's not going to brag on his kid, but he said that Titus might be the most talented of the Hewards to come through, and all these guys have played at an extremely high level. He said he's already got, a Division I arm, and this is last year. My thing is Brock's not one of these guys that is a very materialistic guy. I think really it is all about, God and family for him. So I think he probably reflects, and just in some of the shows that we've done, I mean, he always goes back to how special his upbringing was. And he was very middle class. They didn't have a lot, but it was a close-knit group. They could always lean on mom and dad. Mom was in the stands. Dad was on the sidelines coaching them up. I think he just wants those memories with his kids. They had a place in Montana where he would go watch his daughters play college basketball. And, the older you get, the one thing you don't have is time.
Yep.
And I think Brock Heward can always, to me, he's one of the best in the business, not because we do, the unlocked with Brock, but I just think he's one of the best analysts in the game, and he's still relatively young for that role. So I think he can do this for a couple of years. He can circle back to the booth. I just think, what I'm taking is he just wants to spend quality time with his kid.
And you see this with Herbstreit. Like his sons played in the Cincinnati area, I believe. I think they play for Moeller, right, up there in Cincinnati. And he got highlighted on social media each week. He would go do the Thursday night game, fly to wherever they are in game day, do the meetings there, fly Friday night to see his son play, fly back to wherever they are in game day. These guys, these are great jobs they have. We saw it with our buddy Luganville when his son Quaid was playing high school ball, ended up getting a college scholarship to play up at Eastern Kentucky, where Luke's played himself. And these guys are in college towns on Friday nights doing their job, and they don't get to see their sons play. And I respect the heck out of the fact that Brock was like, I'm not going to miss this. And he was able to see his daughter play because it was out of football season. She was an exceptional basketball player and is now playing at Montana. But if it's in football season, he would never see his son play in person. And if this kid's that good, you don't want to miss that. And, the career will work itself out.
Yeah, so Brock Heward there, friend of the show, making a big decision yesterday. So if you don't see him on the air this year in football, it's because he's on the high school football sideline there and doing great work there. When we come back, we will continue the conversation on the end of basketball season, our transition to football season and Masters Week. The show today being brought to you by our friends at NASCAR Brownie.
NASCAR Fest, you can go see our friends at NASCAR, and you can get those tickets and secure your spot at TalladegaSuperspeedway.com. That is TalladegaSuperspeedway.com. 2.5 miles of nothing but pure speed, incredible action at every turn. The Jack Links 500 weekend is April 25th through 27th. Secure your spot and go have a blast at TalladegaSuperspeedway.com. That's TalladegaSuperspeedway.com.
Take the next round anywhere you go with official Next Round gear. Buy yours today at nextround.store.
I'm attorney Alexander Shunnarah, Alabama-born, Alabama-raised, and ready to fight for your rights. I have one of the largest firms in Alabama, and we are here to help you get the compensation you deserve. Call me, Alabama, 323-1000.
Your representation is made that the quality of legal services being performed is greater than those of other lawyers.
Storm season is here. Make sure you have a plan of action in place right now. Greg from Pell City and Storm Restoration Roofing should be your first call when storms hit. Insurance companies love working with Storm Restoration Roofing because of Greg Nelson's name and reputation in the industry. When storms hit, call Greg Nelson. He's local, 205-542-3531. He's the home of the free no-cost roof inspection. Greg from Pell City on Facebook, 205-542-3531. It's Storm Restoration Roofing.
Hey, there's nothing worse than waking up to a plumbing problem. Don't get caught in a flooded house. Call the guys at Hemp Hill Services. Adam, Chad, and the team at Hemp Hill are the only ones I trust to fix it and fix it right the first time. Hemp Hill Services does it right and always at a fair price. For all of your plumbing, cooling, and heating needs, trust the name that Birmingham has trusted since 1954. That is Hemp Hill Services. Call now, 205-229-2090. That's 205-229-2090.
What a great time of year to be online with our friends at mybookie.ag, mybookie.ag, where right now you get a major current sign-up bonus, a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000, plus a $10 casino chip when using the code NEXTROUND. That's code NEXTROUND. We're talking about all the madness of March, the NBA playoff race, the start of Major League Baseball, and it's all for you right now online when using the code NEXTROUND. Go sign up today, mybookie.ag, code NEXTROUND.
Birmingham's fastest party returns to Barber Motorsports Park May 2nd through 4th. Medical Properties Trust presents the Children's of Alabama Indy Grand Prix powered by AmFirst. Experience 3 days of high-speed action featuring the fastest drivers in the world from the IndyCar Series. Enjoy the Kids Zone, food trucks, beer garden, Ferris wheel, fan zone, and more. The Children's of Alabama Indy Grand Prix powered by AmFirst. Kids 15 and under get in free. Get your tickets now.
All right, Auburn fans, I want you to become a member of thebarnauburn.com and join in on the fun. Whether it's recruiting discussions, off-season chatter, or the latest Auburn athletics news, we've got it all. Get $25 off your annual subscription when you sign up for your account at thebarnauburn.com today. War Eagle.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, you're in the red zone for every college rivalry and divisional matchup all season long. I mean, where else are the scenic views as good as your view of the game? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
The biggest and baddest track in NASCAR is Talladega Super Speedway, and it's ready to put on another amazing show in April. If you've never been to the Talladega Super Speedway, you have to check it out. This beast is 2.5 miles of nothing but pure speed and incredible action at every single turn. Don't miss the Jack Links 500 NASCAR weekend at Talladega Super Speedway, April 25th through 27th. Get your tickets now at TalladegaSuperspeedway.com. Don't miss the action. TalladegaSuperspeedway.com.
Stop by the New York Butcher Shop and pick up the finest in certified Angus prime beef steaks and burgers, premium pork chops, ribs, and all-natural chicken cut to order just for you. Their chef-prepared entrees and side dishes are the perfect dinner-to-go choice for your family and are ready to heat at home. With a great selection of fine wines and desserts, the New York Butcher Shop is your one-stop dinner shop. 2 locations to serve you, Cahaba Heights and on Highway 119 in Greystone. The New York Butcher Shop, rare quality, well-done service.
I'm attorney Alexander Shunnarah, Alabama born, Alabama raised, and ready to fight for your rights. I have one of the largest firms in Alabama, and we are here to help you get the compensation you deserve. Call me, Alabama, 323-1000.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services being performed is greater than those of other lawyers.
Jim Dunaway, Lance Taylor, Ryan Brown. Live from the Birmingham Racecourse Casino Studios, the next round, presented by Bud Light, is on now.
We were just talking about how it was one of our favorite tournaments, but especially the Final Four, maybe the greatest of all time. I'm told that could be the last major event ever in the Alamo Dome, that it's has fallen in 33 years, hasn't been updated from bathrooms to needs more suites and that kind of things. So they've got to make a decision on, are they going to build new in San Antonio, or are they going to spend a lot to revamp the Alamo Dome? It's got a great location close to the Riverwalk there. Remember, it was built to try to lure an NFL team. They never got that. It took it years to make money because they never got the NFL tenant they wanted, but it is one of the busier, I think it's used 300 dates a year.
Really? The Alamo Dome that much?
With concerts and stuff. Paul McCartney played the first concert there, the Alamo Dome. But the new Final Four rotation is rolling back in, 2032 through 36 is when they're going to make the announcement soon. And San Antonio is expected not to be in that rotation, 32 through 36. They go to Indianapolis next year. That is the 2 most popular recent year destinations as far as fan friendliness and locations. San Antonio and Indianapolis. They've hosted it 5 times in 28 years. Not expected to get it. What do you do if you're San Antonio? How would you play this?
I mean, I would. You've got to build a facility that can host football because you've also got the Alamo Bowl, which I assume pumps some money into the local economy.
That's right.
You probably want to build it on the site where the Alamo Dome is right now because as I remember it, I didn't go over there, but I think it's walkable from the Riverwalk.
It is. Taylor and them, no parking for the media because it was a walk from their hotel to the media facility.
Much like in Nashville, which is walkable across the footbridge from Broadway, you want to keep it connected to the Riverwalk. That's the whole appeal there. I mean, if money were no option, I would find a way to build something that can operate as a football stadium, but I can transition it into basketball and be the best basketball setup there is. I don't know how you do that without maybe like football. This is going to sound crazy, but like you got your football field built on this level, and then there's like an open level under it where you can put a basketball court and add seats. Does that make sense?
Is it Carvana that moves the cars around?
Yeah, kind of like that. So I've got
the only Carvana I've ever seen is going into Nashville, right there on the right side.
That's a big one, by the way.
And they actually have cars in it. I still don't understand how Carvana works. But
parking in New York City down in the Village.
Is that the way they do it?
Yeah, they stack it.
Decks.
New Orleans does it too.
Yeah, I don't. How do I get my car? I couldn't. I said in just
patience.
I was a little intoxicated, but I stared at it for 5 minutes trying to figure out how it worked.
But I mean, I do think San Antonio is one of these event towns. Ron Slay aside his opinions.
Listen.
So you would think that you could have enough concerts and events that would come through there.
The little T, I heard her telling Dunaway, and I think you may have heard it before the show, that the Riverwalk gave her a Bourbon Street vibe. I think that was probably more about the crowd that was there. Look, I was there this summer. I loved it. We were there a couple days. It was more family-oriented then. You didn't have, fans coming in for a game.
Well, and Florida fans are a little rough around the edges, if we're going to be honest.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a Stuckey's crowd.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to one of the Stuckey's on the side of the road?
With the Dairy Queen inside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Bucky's.
That totally got Tyler's
Bucky's is probably a little, Florida fans are probably like, wow, man, this is nice. Yeah. Stuckey's is more their level, so I see that.
I liked San Antonio. I thought it was cool. I think 2 days is probably plenty there to see everything you want to see. The Riverwalk I thought was nice. But I get it. I mean, if you ask me, better event town, Nashville with Broadway or San Antonio with the Riverwalk, easy. Nashville with Broadway, easy. So I think they're about to get in the mix. I agree with you what you're talking about, Slade. When they finish that dome in Nashville, that's going to host everything. It's going to have a Super Bowl. It's going to have a college football national championship game. It'll have a Final Four.
So when they announce 32, 33, 34, 35, and 36 Final Four dates, the next 5,
I think Nashville will be in there.
Yeah,
but
I think you drilled that. Nashville will be there.
But it is weird to put them in there before the stadium is done. You never know.
We got sketches.
Yeah, I would.
No. I'm just saying.
I'd still feel pretty good about it.
I would feel pretty good about it, but you would have a backup plan just in case.
Yeah,
Indianapolis is the ultimate backup plan.
It actually is.
I know.
I mean, it literally is. Yeah. It's in writing.
If you remember, that's what happened in COVID. It was like when COVID got shut down, they were like, okay, everything's in Indianapolis because that's the actual.
It's in the contract.
Breaking
news.
And
reason you can't host it. Indianapolis is the default site.
Did you know the USGA has that for U.S. Open sites too?
What is it?
I can't remember, but they've got I think 1 or 2.
I would imagine it's at North Carolina.
The Pinehurst probably has one. Yeah,
it's probably the safest location.
I do want to give Indy another shot because when we were there, it was so cold.
Awful
weather. It's like you couldn't take advantage of one of the best walk-around cities, at least from what I've heard.
Yeah, I've been to Indianapolis 2 or 3 times, and I find it to be a really cool town. The coolest part about Indianapolis is their Skywalk network. You can go 21 blocks without ever going outside.
Yeah, that includes tunnels. It's not all Skywalk.
Yeah, there's a tunnel specifically from the convention center into Lucas Oil.
That's right.
So if you can get to the convention center, you never have to go outdoors to get into Lucas Oil.
Yeah, which shouldn't be a problem in March and April for the Final Four.
It's a problem in January, though. We saw it.
Show being brought to you by a couple of our great sponsors. One of them, our friends at Champy's World Famous Fried Chicken, champy'schicken.com, Highway 119 in Alabaster. No remodel needed here. Over a decade at this location. It only gets better and better. It's got such a great personality of that down home restaurant feel that Sterling has created there. Perfect for lunch and dinner, date night if you want to, happy hour in the afternoon after a hard day's work of bringing home the bacon. He's got everything you want on a Southern menu. The great sides, the deep-fried chicken, brined overnight, cooked to order, chicken fingers, po' boys, and everything else, including the Mississippi recipe Delta tamales right there. Unbelievable. Go get them at Champy's Chicken, Highway 119 in Alabaster, champy'schicken.com. And our friends, Brownie, right there at mybookie.ag. One more look there at some important lines coming up, including betting odds for the title. I got them for us after you tell us about MyBookie.
Yeah, code next round. I'll tell you about the Masters odds then. Scotty Scheffler plus 420, Roy McIlroy plus 610, so just a little more than 6-1 for him. Rahm and Colin Morikawa are about 13-1 plus 1325. And then you got a line that's got Bryson DeChambeau and Ludwig Oberg, excuse me.
My apologies. He's my pick to win it.
Is he now?
Yep.
I'm glad you told me that. 15-1 for both those guys.
I see what you did there.
I know.
I think it's only his fourth major he's ever played in.
Yeah, the guy is very, very
He is very talented.
Yeah, but he's extremely good.
Fourth time a charm.
And he was very good last year at Augusta. There is a trend you need to be aware of, though, if you're going to pick Oberg. And if you want me to share it with you, I will. If you just want to keep your pick, I will not. But I'm going
to keep my pick.
It would point to him not winning. You can play all of that at mybookie.ag, code next round. Mybookie.ag, code next round. 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. Plus a $10 casino chip when you use code next round at mybookie.ag. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with mybookie.ag.
Nobody with a what's that little thing above
what's the circle called?
What's that thing above a name?
The circle above the A.
The circle above the A?
Yeah, like
it's a pronunciation
thing. It's not the...
Yeah, Motley Cruz got it.
Yeah, it's not the
umlauts.
Umlaut. Is it just one umlaut?
The dots above the O's and U's.
Yeah. Anyway.
He's got all those things above his name.
Nobody with that has ever won it. You are correct, but that is not the trend I was discussing.
Nobody that would ever have sauerkraut on the champions menu has ever won it.
Oh, Bernard Longer's won it twice. I guarantee you sauerkraut showed up there.
Well, he's a Swede, right?
Oberg?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure
he's
he is.
Yeah.
And we've had a Swede win it before, right? Because did Stinson ever win it?
No, Henrik Stenson did not win. I don't think we ever had a Swede win. No, not the
Henrik
Masters.
Stenson?
Henrik Stenson. He won a British. He did not win a Masters.
I pronounce it Henrik.
Henrik.
Yeah. Duke's the betting favorite to win the 2026 basketball championship at plus 1,000. Houston at plus 1,200. Louisville and Purdue at plus 1,400. Kansas and BYU at plus 1,600. And then seventh best odds to win it. Alabama, Auburn, Arkansas, and UConn plus 1,800. Alabama, Auburn, Calipari, and UConn plus 1,800.
You literally are burning money right now.
Oh, yeah.
What do you mean? You don't know what the roster is going to look like? Just take a flyer?
I mean, but you think about it. We've talked a lot today about Kelvin Sampson going for win 800, and that's how long it's taken him to play for a national championship. And I'm feeling sorry for him, and Scott's showing the sad Kelvin Sampson watching his team completely melt at the end of the game. And then every one of these top 25s, they've been number one. And then you just give me the betting odds. Aren't they second in the betting odds, second or third in the betting odds? Houston ain't going anywhere, are they? I mean, he has built such a consistent program there.
You know, going back, though, I mean, like these coaches don't even know, even when they start the season, how good their teams are going to be. Steven said, when you asked the question, he was like, well, when we beat Houston, I felt like we could be a really good team.
Final Four team.
You know, I would have thought he would have said, coming into the season, I thought this roster based on, where it was based on last year that we had Final Four potential.
It's crazy. I saw a video this morning. It was old video of Kelvin Sampson in 2016 going with a bullhorn out like on the quad, encouraging people to come to the Houston game that night.
That's right.
We got a home game tonight. If you guys will come, free pizza for the students, things like that. Kelvin Sampson out on the quad in a bullhorn. And then they showed a photo of the games, and nobody's there.
Yep.
Like Houston, that program had gone to crap. I mean, it used to be a great program back in the Phi Slamma Jamma days. It had gone to crap. Like Steven said, for him to take that to build it to what it is just remarkable.
It really is for what they've done there and to be where they are. And they're going to stay around. 4 Downs is coming up. Let me tell you about New Life Art first. Our friends at New Life Art, unbelievable pieces of work that Daniel A. Moore has done over the years. And you can take a look at any of the collection, including the latest one, the legend, Coach Nick Saban's National Championship. DanielMooreArt.com, DanielMooreArt.com. Promo code TNR is what you get right there with our friends at Daniel A. Moore, DanielMooreArt.com. And all the other great works, go check it all out. Just tremendous. I love art, and I love all the hidden. What are they called when you is it eggshells? No, it's
Easter eggs.
Easter eggs. I'm sorry, Easter eggs in there. I got a story I'm getting to from my buddy Brian King, one of the greatest people I ever worked with, who listens to us down in Tampa. And I'm about to get to the story, and it's off of artwork. But I love how you have things that are hidden in pieces of artwork, and Daniel Moore has done that for years. DanielMooreArt.com, DanielMooreArt.com, promo code TNR. Go check it out. Today is the 50th anniversary of one of the best albums released of all time, and it's got a little tie to it. Don't put it up yet, Forrester. Aerosmith's Toys in the Attic, 50 years ago today. Walk This Way, Sweet Emotions. I'm reading word for word. You guys know I'm not this smart. It's all from Brian King. I worked with him in Birmingham for a while. I was in Tampa. It was released today, and the artist commissioned an artist to design the cover of Toys in the Attic. And you can pull it up now. She obviously put a number of children's toys in the attic. But if you will notice, right in the middle of Toys in the Attic, 50 years ago, right in the middle there, I don't know if you can zoom in on it, Forrester, but bottom center toy down in the middle is a toy Big Al right there.
Oh, that's interesting.
She was a big Alabama fan, the artist was, and threw all the toys in the attics in there, but right in the middle.
It's even got an A on it. I mean, it's like not just an elephant. There's an A on the jersey.
Yeah, it's a stuffed little toy Big Al.
Huh. Thurman Merman got a stuffed elephant in Bad Santa.
Yeah. But there you go, Big Al right there.
I never noticed the A. I guess if I would have, I just would have played it off as Aerosmith because there's another A behind
that's a good
the
point.
frog over there on the right.
Yeah, Toys in the Attic with a Big Owl right in the middle of it. Thank you, Brian King, down in Tampa. One-time NBC 13, long-time Fox Tampa sports producer and photographer down there. I never knew that.
That is one of the greatest albums of all time.
Yeah, let's do 4 Downs now, brought to you by our friends at Bojangles.
If you're having a tough time deciding between sweet and savory for breakfast, you no longer have to decide. Our guys at Bojangles got you covered, my man. Introducing the Bojangles new chicken and bowberry waffles, the signature Cajun chicken filet from Bojangles, drizzled with a bowberry glaze sandwiched between warm waffles. It's available for a limited time at your local Bojangles. It's Bo time.
First down.
What happens first? Auburn back in a Final Four, their third, or Auburn going to a college football playoff for the first time ever?
I'd go college football playoff. I think it's easier to make a college football playoff, obviously, than a Final Four. I mean, that goes without saying, especially as an SEC team. We saw, it's not like Bruce Pearl forgot how to coach. We saw how he had to scratch and claw just to get back to the Final Four since 2019. So to think that you're just going to reel them off one after another is probably unrealistic to think about. So I would say football first. In the playoff, that's all I got to get. It's in the playoff, 1 to 12.
Oh, yeah.
Or
it's
1 of 16.
So easy to do.
Well, no, but 1 of 16 in the near future. It is much easier than making a Final Four.
I would give you that. But Auburn basketball in a better spot.
There's no doubt about that one.
I know I said this last year. Do feel like this could be the breakout year for Hugh Freeze. I mean, he's got a quarterback. Like, he sold us last year on Peyton Thorne. And Peyton Thorne's still one of my favorite NIL guests we've had.
I like Peyton.
But I think Jackson Arnold's going to be really good.
And apparently rave reviews on him and Deuce coming out of spring so far that they have looked the part with that receiving core down there. I'm going to go basketball.
You think Auburn will be back in the Final Four before Auburn football is in a college football playoff, which is about to expand to 16 sometime in the near future?
No.
Well, you just said that.
I know. Final Four is so hard, though.
It is.
If you broke it down to like the Elite Eight, I would take basketball.
I mean, the expectation this year is college football playoff. I don't want to say or bust, but you've at least got to be in November. You've got to be in the conversation.
I'm going to stick with basketball because if Hugh doesn't get it done this year, they're going to go through another coaching change, and I don't know how many more coaching changes they can keep doing down there. That doesn't keep setting them.
I don't know
back.
if you know this. They sell it out.
What?
They're still going to sell out Jordan Hare.
Oh, I know that. Yeah. I know that. But it every time you change coaches and you don't hire the right guy, it just sets you. I mean, I've seen it with many programs, including Alabama for a while.
Unless you're like a Scott Strickland and you're like, or you point him, hey, it took 3 years, but look what Todd Golden did in year 3.
It's just weird in basketball. Like, Nate Oates, the best basketball coach Alabama's ever had. His 2 best teams, I would say, are the Brandon Miller team and this year's team.
I would agree.
Which one went to the Final Four? A team that everybody would look at and said it's kind of one of his average teams, right? So, figure it out. It's really difficult to figure this out.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick basketball.
I'm going to go football. I'm going to agree with Brown here.
Yep.
Second down.
Truthfully, I was reading a text in the middle of your question and didn't want to ask you to repeat the question.
Oh, wow.
So you had no idea what I said.
I was trying to piece it together
based on what I said.
Off of Brown's answer.
Then you contradicted yourself.
So then I went the opposite.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, John Snyder.
The Dukes of Hazzard, John Snyder?
Of Bo Duke fame.
Yes.
John Snyder is 65 years old today. He's finally a senior citizen. If I asked you ultimately better career, John Snyder or Brent Venables?
What a comparison.
Ooh. John Snyder actually had one hit country song, didn't he?
He did? Well, he performed at the Florida last year. So he actually probably had more than one hit.
He ended up with a better career than Tom Wopat, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what.
Now, Wopat did a lot of Broadway, believe it or not.
Oh, that's right. I'd forgotten about that, yeah.
Didn't we have Tom on the show?
I think Tom Wopat has been on the show. I don't think John Schneider has.
I can't remember the John Snyder one-hit song.
Guarantee you watched this show back in the early 2000s, but Nip Tuck on FX.
Oh yeah,
but John Snyder had a recurring role one season there. He was a porn producer.
I knew of it. I never watched it.
Patrick says
it was
he
a guilty
had
pleasure.
Multiple hit songs.
John Snyder?
Yeah.
I think he only had one #1 song. I don't know what you call a hit.
Yeah. Well, Venables' only hit was at Clemson, right?
Yeah. I mean, he's had one good year at Oklahoma. I don't have confidence in him long term at Oklahoma.
Yeah, I'm going to say John Snyder, just from his role on Dukes of Hazzard, is going to beat Brent Venables as a head coach.
Well, I guess they tried it with the movie where Burt Reynolds was Boss Hogg and Jessica Simpson was Daisy Duke, but I'm a little surprised they haven't rebooted the Dukes of Hazzard.
I'll go full admission here. I never liked the Dukes of Hazzard.
Oh, I loved it as a kid.
I didn't like it its original run, but then I rewatched it younger brother like 10 years later, and I did enjoy it more then.
I did not.
I would doubt if we ever get a new version of the Dukes of Hazzard.
Well, you got to change the car. I mean, that's
you got to change the car, but then
I
the
didn't think about
fans
that.
of Dukes of Hazzard aren't going to be all in on.
They wouldn't embrace that.
They're getting rid of.
So you think if you roll the General Lee, I know the cancel culture has kind of died down. You don't think the General Lee can roll up?
It's gonna spark back over there.
You think?
I mean, there was a guy
I was being
I know.
sarcastic.
There was a guy that drove one in Anniston when I was a kid. He had a exact replica. It was a Dodge. Was that a Dodge Charger? I think it was.
I mean, I believe either Bubba Watson.
Bubba Watson has it.
Yeah, he's got the original.
And then somebody else has got one.
And I
This
want to
was a
say
replica.
Eric Church does, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But Bubba Watson for sure.
Yeah, this was a replica, but some guy just went and got it. Got the orange paint job, the 01 on the side.
Yeah, I don't know.
69 Dodge Charger.
Yeah, rebel flag on the top.
There's probably some places that maybe you could drive that around. But
Yeah. Well, Anniston was one of them back in the day. I'll go ahead and tell you. Nobody said a word. I don't think.
There's some property right off of I-65 before you get to Montgomery.
That's true.
That you could actually park it.
Yeah, you can park it right there in the friendly confines, right?
Yeah.
Fourth down.
We skipped third down.
It's third down. Yeah, I understand the confusion there.
Damn, this
Third
is
down.
This is Colorado. Was it Nebraska?
Missouri.
Colorado,
No, it's
Missouri. all
Missouri,
over again. CD Lamb, 26 years old today. I'm going to go another animal name here. CD Lamb or Michael J. Fox, ultimately better career. See, CD Lamb to me is one of the best receivers, no doubt, and really the only playmaker on that Cowboys offense. But Michael J. Fox as
Back to the Future.
I mean, that's all he needs, right? That one movie.
Well, yeah, but I mean, Family Ties was a hit television show.
It was.
But Marty McFly, it was. But Marty McFly,
Marty McFly was definitely his best work. I don't disagree. And if not for his disease, he probably would have done more.
Oh, yeah, great
in his later
actor.
life. I mean, his career was cut short because of.
was doing a lot of dramatic roles back. You know, he did the Casualties of War with Sean Penn. He did the so-called Success of My Life or whatever it was. I mean, he was doing a lot of movies.
I'm going to say the show Spin City was a hit at one
it
point.
was
Yeah.
huge.
No, I think Michael J. Fox will have the better career than CD Lamb.
Did they not go from Michael J. Fox to Charlie Sheen?
I think so.
When he actually started to really struggle. But Yeah, I mean, I thought Michael J. Fox was a really good actor. But if you go one 80s movie for everyone,
Back to the Future.
I think Back to the Future would be the universal
It
one.
probably is the movie of the 80s. I would agree. That or Top Gun, maybe.
Or Back to the Future 2.
Yeah, which was also good.
It wasn't
I thought it
terrible.
was okay.
3 was really bad.
I
Which
like
one's
2
the
better
Western?
than
That
1.
was 3.
You like 2 better than... How is that possible?
I thought 2 was good because he
I don't
goes.
know, I like them both. I can be in the mood for either. I don't like 3 though.
3's bad.
3 was the Western.
Never even
Yeah.
saw 3.
Yeah, 3 was the Western.
Yeah.
2's where he goes back. Biff has got the betting guide.
Yeah.
The Gray's Sports Almanac.
Yeah, Gray Sports Almanac. That 2's not terrible. I like 2.
You don't even need a sports almanac. Like, if I had this bracket right here and you just gave me the final scores of this bracket, take me back in time 3 weeks, you guys never see me again.
Yep. But Biff had to go all the way back to 1955 or whatever it was.
He needed a whole almanac.
I know.
I need one cheat.
And then he was also in Teen Wolf.
Oh, Teen Wolf. I forgot about Teen Wolf.
Teen
Yeah,
Wolf.
no, I did not like that movie, but
Yeah.
it was a hit.
Voice of, I think, Shadow was the dog's name, and
Yeah.
Homeward Bound.
That's correct,
Or
yeah.
he was the other dog.
Oh, we're going Michael J. Fox.
Yeah, it's Michael J.
yeah.
Fox.
Yeah, you're just piling on now.
That's right.
4th down.
Okay, April 8th, on this date in history, 1974, Hank Aaron breaks Babe Ruth's 714 record. We all remember that scene at Fulton County Stadium.
Yep.
And also on this date, 1986, Clint Eastwood was named the mayor of Carmel, California. If I asked you better career, Hank Aaron or Clint Eastwood?
I would probably go Hank Aaron there. That's a tough one, though. I mean, when you consider Eastwood's directing career as well as his acting career, I don't really consider his political career.
Yeah, I just consider Hank a big home run hitter. I know he was more than that, but
Yeah, he
like
really
to me,
was.
Clint was like the all-American guy that could go from Westerns to the great cop dramas to being in politics to directing.
Directed a courtroom drama last year.
Yeah.
They were number 2.
I mean, if we're going just great Americans, Clint Eastwood might be on our Mount Rushmore.
He's one of them.
Yeah, I'm going to go Clint Eastwood, but if you look up Hank Aaron before, the images you see him of chasing Ruth in the early to mid 70s, he was a 5-tool player. He did it all. Stole bases.
Coming out of Mobile, yeah.
I mean, he did it all. Great fielder, great arm, great bat for RBIs and average. In fact, didn't he break the record by never having, and he never had more than like, he never had 40 home runs in a season. I think he just did it consistently, 30 home runs, 30 home runs, 30 home runs.
3-time Gold Glove winner, to your point, but it
right.
was all early in his career, 58, 59, and 60.
Yeah, while he's in Milwaukee.
Yeah, and he only led the NL in home runs 4 times, which I say only when you consider he had like a 28-year career.
Yeah.
To only lead the NL.
But Eastwood, 5 tools, tough guy.
Yeah.
Actor, I mean, the guy killed it with the ladies. Director, politician, producer.
I think he's got 8 kids with 7 women, so he's killed it with some ladies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Eastwood.
Yeah, I said Eastwood, but I was just backing up.
Yeah.
Let's don't kick.
I mean, I'm not shitting on Hank Aaron.
Yeah, that is our 4 downs today, brought to you by our friends at Bojangles.
It is bow time. When it comes to breakfast, you don't have to pick between savory and sweet anymore. You can get that Bojangles signature Cajun chicken filet inside those waffles, that Bowberry sauce drizzled on it. Go for a limited time to your local Bojangles. It's bow time.
And if you are wearing glasses or contacts, trust me, you're wasting money each and every year. I know you've thought about it, you've been procrastinating. Should I ever make that call to Michelson Laser Vision? The answer is yes. One of the best decisions I made back in the radio days was going to see Dr. Mark Michelson. I wore the contacts. I was wasting money each and every year on the contacts and solutions. Finally got the procedure done. I've still got 2015 vision, better than 2020. Make the phone call that I made, 205-969-8100. Ask for Amy. Tell her the next round sent you. For more information, michelsonlaservision.com.
Follow The Next Round on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Next Round Live.
I'm attorney Alexander Shunnarah, Alabama born, Alabama raised, and ready to fight for your rights. I have one of the largest firms in Alabama, and we are here to help you get the compensation you deserve. Call me, Alabama, 323-1000.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services being performed is greater than those of other lawyers.
Hey, you. Days warming up, looking like spring. And at New Balance Birmingham, we've got the thing. What pops and what's fresh? Check the selects. Come together at New Balance Birmingham on Highway 280, right next to Chick-fil-A. New Balance Birmingham, we got now.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, you're in the red zone for every college rivalry and divisional matchup all season long. I mean, where else are the scenic views as good as your view of the game? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Hey, let me tell you about our friends at Urology Centers of Alabama. Compassionate and comprehensive urological care with 35 physicians, 17 locations across Alabama. Their patient-centered approach to all of your urological needs. Remember, they've got that new men's health center. It is beautiful, helping men with a wide range of sensitive male issues in a comfortable environment. You can always go online, visit urologycentersalabama.com, schedule an appointment with one of their many urologists today.
Storm season is here. Make sure you have a plan of action in place right now. Greg from Pell City and Storm Restoration Roofing should be your first call when storms hit. Insurance companies love working with Storm Restoration Roofing because of Greg Nelson's name and reputation in the industry. When storms hit, call Greg Nelson. He's local, 205-542-3531. He's the home of the free no-cost roof inspection. Greg from Pell City on Facebook, 205-542-3531. It's Storm Restoration Roofing.
Hey, for all of your IT and printing needs, reach out to our friends at Xerox Business Solutions. Look, I'm still one of those old school guys. I print my notes every single day for the show. If you watch the show here on the next round, you see all the notes in front of me. From day one, Xerox Business Solutions, they've been with us here at the next round. Local for over 45 years. For all of your IT and printing needs, visit XeroxBusinessSolutions.com or call 205-969-3000. That's 205-969-3000.
The road to the Indy 500 runs through Birmingham, May 2nd through the 4th. The fastest IndyCar drivers in the world, O'Ward, Dixon, and Newgarden will put their skills to the test with one goal in mind: victory. Witness Miss America Abby Stockard give the most iconic command in all of racing as the Grand Marshal. May starts here. The Children's of Alabama Indy Grand Prix, powered by AmFirst. Tickets are selling fast. Get yours today.
It's bow time. Tired of choosing between sweet and savory? Why not have both? Introducing Bojangles' new chicken and bowberry waffles. The bold Cajun chicken filet you love, now drizzled with a bowberry honey glaze and sandwiched between two warm waffles. Which means your favorite meal of the day just met your new favorite dish. And lucky for you, it's served all day. But it's only here for a limited time, so try chicken and bowberry waffles at Bojangles today. It's bow time.
I'm attorney Alexander Shunnarah, Alabama born, Alabama raised, and ready to fight for your rights. I have one of the largest firms in Alabama, and we are here to help you get the compensation you deserve. Call me, Alabama, 323-1000.
Your representation is made that the quality of legal services being performed is greater than those of other lawyers.
Trash in just a second. Dr. B brings you part of the show. Before you tell me about Dr. B, I want your thoughts on Mo Dioubate to Kentucky and that announcement yesterday. I'd heard in Newark that he was a likely portal guy and that St. John's was in the mix, but from what I'm told, Kentucky brought
look, I
bigger offers.
Said this last week, 2 weeks ago, that maybe the most improved player on that roster. I thought there was going to be a big, significant market for him. I'm a little surprised there wasn't more, and maybe there was behind the scenes more of an effort to keep him. I think St. John's, based on what he can do defensively, would have been a great spot. But at the same time, Kentucky, what he really needs to refine is the ability to go out there and be able to score 15 on a given night.
Yeah.
And I think he can do that in Mark Pope's offense.
He doesn't always look fluid offensively. He is so elite defensively. From what I heard, there was an offer, then Alabama countered, offer, counter. And then you get out of whack.
Yeah, you got a number in your head, you got a roster, and Nate Oates knows this as well as anybody. Mo Dioubate is worth this for us. This is what we can max out at. If he gets more, good for him. God bless him.
Yeah, but to build a team, you can only do so much. And if one player, his part of the slice of the pie, gets out of whack for what he brings to the roster, you can't get out of whack because it's going to hurt you somewhere else. Kentucky, him in that system, I thought St. John's was a better fit for him than the Kentucky system.
It does feel that way because you view it as more of a physical defensive style, which is kind of like I thought for Mo Dioubate. He, more than any player Alabama had, it embodied the blue collar, the hard hat that Nate Oates likes to give out after every game. I thought nobody embodied that more than Mo Dioubate.
And that's one of the reasons I thought he would be a priority.
Yeah.
And again, maybe it still was, but there's a number that you set on these guys, and you can only go so high.
Yeah.
And I think Kentucky's probably got one of these budgets where you can't go too high in basketball.
And that's what we were talking about earlier, right? With Clay and everyone else, is that the pride is hurt at Kentucky. So when your pride gets hurt, like we saw with Ohio State football when Michigan won the national championship, they were like, okay, what do we need to spend?
Well, and Pope probably in year one was just grateful to get this job, to be able to come home to Lexington. Now that he showed that he looks like he can coach, if I'm Pope, I'm going to whoever's going to listen and say, hey, look, Ohio State was able to do it with an unlimited budget. Give me this unlimited budget. We can do this.
Julio Jones announced his retirement Sunday. What is Julio Jones's legacy in football?
This is crazy, but I think he is the best receiver in Alabama history. I know the numbers aren't there to back him up when he was there, but I'm just talking about from the recruiting process, what the impact for Nick Saban in this whole machine that he built. It really began with Julio Jones. He's the greatest Falcon of all time. It was baffling that, didn't score the touchdowns at the rate you thought he would with all of the grabs and the yardage. But to me, Julio Jones is one of the greatest Alabama players of all time. I would put him at the top of the list for wide receiver, and he is the greatest Falcon of all time.
One of the great Super Bowl catches that never gets talked about because they blew the game.
Right. Scott, is it accepted, Forrester, that he's the greatest Falcon of all time as a Falcons fan? Do you accept that about Julio?
Yeah, I think that's a no-brainer.
Okay.
I mean, Jesse Tuggle.
Easy.
I mean, who's the other guy?
Michael Vick.
Well, I mean, Matt Ryan.
I mean, I put Matt Ryan in that conversation. I know you don't think he's a Hall of Famer, but he is.
But you put Jesse Tuggle in that conversation, right?
He's in that conversation,
Yeah.
but Matt Ryan's above him.
Jeff Van Note. Remember
Van
him?
Note was really good.
He was a heck of an offensive
William
lineman.
Andrews. I mean, look, the Falcons have had some really good marginal guys.
Some really good marginal guys, Scotty.
Julio Jones literally had Waffle House cleats, though. He was always open. He was very big to what you said to Alabama.
I mean, would you guys give me that maybe the most influential player in Alabama history?
Well, I'll tell you one reason why is when Nick Saban, and this is forgotten for a lot of fans, when Nick Saban got to Alabama, the Bay Area of Alabama, the Mobile Bay Area, was the hotbed of recruiting in this state, and Auburn owned it. Tommy Tuberville, Auburn.
LSU did too.
Okay, well, in-state Auburn did, but LSU did too. And Nick Saban flipped that, but that flip started with Julio Jones. And without him, how long does it take you to flip that area?
100%. 100%. I agree with that. All right, that gets us to trash today. But first, Dr. B. Tell us about Dr. B.
Dr. B, absolute best in the business. For more than 20 years, women and men have turned to Dr. Beckenstein for a range of cosmetic and reconstructive procedures. If you're starting to thin out, be preemptive. You can maintain what you've got. You can even grow some back. I'm speaking from experience. I do that non-invasive treatment 3 times a week, 30 minutes each time. For more information, 205-319-0316, t3hair.net. T3's got that new test. It's easy, it's painless, it's affordable, takes seconds to perform. It's going to show which medicines and compounds will specifically work for your hair loss. There are over 10 categories of agents they use, knowing they will work for you. They will custom compound these agents in pill or topical forms. You pick and choose which agents you want. Men and women ordering Hims, other products online, don't even know if they work. Stop wasting your money and critical time while you're losing hair on treatments that aren't working for you. Come see Dr. Beckenstein and that great staff. Tell them the next round sent you. 205-319-0316 or t3hair.net.
After the break, we're going to interview Eric Weihenmayer, who climbed the highest mountain in the world, Mount Everest. But he's gay. He's blind.
LT's Trash is presented by Bud Light.
So I talked to Jack's best friend over the weekend, and he was going to see the Minecraft movie. I think you saw it. How was it?
It was awful.
Okay, just as bad as you thought. You thought it was going to be bad.
Yeah, we told you.
Yeah.
I mean, it was made by the same guy who made a Napoleon Dynamite, so it's like that style of humor, but with like a lot of Gen Z TikTok references.
It is funny. Back to the studio, and I was talking to Melton about it when he walked in, Tyler, and I know Dunaway's seen the first episode, but it is there is truth behind it that a lot of these studios, after the success of Barbie, let's find what's going to work. And the way they implement, I'll just tell you, the product is Kool-Aid.
You're the Kool-Aid man.
It is so awesome with their pitch and what they decide to do with it. Well worth it. But a lot of these studios are doing this. But fans of the Minecraft video game franchise have waited a long time for the theatrical Minecraft movie to come to fruition. Now it looks like their excitement has become heightened enough for police to reportedly be called. Now, according to some sources, cops were called over a screening of the Minecraft movie due to the audience's reaction to the chicken jockey scene. I know nothing about this.
So all that happens is, and I've got a clip of this we can see in a bit, but Jason Momoa is in a boxing ring. He has to fight some monster that they're going to reveal, and they reveal it's a baby zombie riding a chicken. And in the game, they call that a chicken jockey. And so the camera cuts to Jack Black, who says chicken jockey in his annoying voice. And that's the joke.
That's a joke?
Yeah, exactly.
But is there something deeper to the Minecraft fan about a chicken jockey?
I mean, they're in the game, but other than it just being a reference.
It's in the game. If it's in the game, it's
okay,
in the game.
So the chicken jockey scene,
I'd be a lot happier with it.
First teased in trailers for the movie, and a recreation of such events in the game. A zombie can be seen riding the chicken, as Tyler said there. In this particular example, zombie is dropped on a chicken that is preparing to battle characters played by Jack Black and Jason Momoa. It is Jack Black's character, who Tyler said yells chicken jockey, and that's when things get a little wild.
Oh my gosh.
The reaction.
People are throwing popcorn.
Okay, Stitch.
Wait, cops came in?
Yeah, cops got called because of a bunch of idiots yelling chicken jockey and disrupting everyone else's good time that they paid money for.
First of all, if I'm sitting in that theater, I'm leaving before it starts.
How miserable does this movie look with all those kids in there?
Oh my gosh.
And I've seen so many posts from theater workers, and it's every screening that stuff like this is happening, where every row they'll have to break out shop vacs and leaf blowers.
Okay, here's a
to clean it
PSA.
up.
Don't go see Minecraft. Save your
honestly,
money.
Please don't. Don't reward the studio for making that garbage. I'm mad I saw it.
So a teenage customer was choked by a McDonald's worker after the girl walked behind the counter to take some ranch dipping sauce after, quote, not being helped by employees, according to Florida police. Now, the 17-year-old was returning to the McDonald's lobby when Akina Sampson, 31, grabbed her arm, according to cops. When the teen tried to break free, Sampson allegedly grabbed her neck and took the girl to the ground. Sampson allegedly choked the victim again while they were on the floor of the St. Petersburg restaurant. Criminal complaint does not reveal how many ranch packets, if any, were secured after the victim crossed the McDonald's front counter threshold. Cops responding to the McDonald's Friday afternoon noted that the victim had, quote, visible injuries to her neck and left elbow, adding the incident was captured on video. Sampson was charged with child abuse. He was released from the county jail Friday evening after posting a $2,500 bond.
I've done this.
You've attacked somebody over
No, I've been the person going past a threshold of a restaurant
to get something.
I mean, if I'm getting horrible service and you're slammed and you have no interest in helping me, and I can see it by crossing the threshold but not getting into the way of anybody.
Example.
I'm going to step up and I'm going to pour myself some unsweet tea or sweet tea.
Right.
I'm going to grab some ranch or ketchup. I'm going to help you out a little bit here because
I've done this.
Some service.
Like, I've been sitting there, and whether it's busy or not busy, and I order, let's say, a Stella, and I see my Stella sitting at the end of the bar sweating.
I've done it.
And it's been there for 5 minutes. I'll just go grab it. And then I'll come back and they'll have this look and I'll be like, it was just sitting up there, so I decided to help you out and grab it.
I usually pick a name. I'm like, Tony walked by and just gave it to me.
Tony?
Who's Tony?
Tony hasn't worked here.
Whatever
You
that
tell
guy's
me.
name.
Whatever
Whatever
that
that guy's name.
Tony.
How long have you been working here?
I'm just a customer.
You don't know Tony?
So
You should meet Tony.
landlord who doused his own duplex with gasoline and set it ablaze while blasting "We Didn't Start the Fire" has been sentenced to probation.
Hey, he should get the probation for playing the song more than starting the actual fire.
William Sadler, we've had him on the show before.
Yep, that's it.
Travis Carlson, right there, 39 years old of Duluth, was granted a departure from state guidelines last week when the judge gave him a stay of a 4-year prison term in favor of 3 years of community supervision. Now, Carlson in January entered a plea to a first-degree arson charge in the fire. He both owns and resides at the apartment, according to the public records. In the plea, defendant asserts that he is unable to recall specific circumstances of the offense, but agrees to be found guilty based on the weight of the evidence against him. I like this. I don't remember it at all, but if you guys have this kind of evidence,
you say I did it.
We'll meet in the middle.
Yep.
Now, the fire was reported in Carlson's upstairs unit just after 4 a.m. A criminal complaint states that he left by the time fire crews and police officers arrived, but the 1989 Billy Joel hit song was blaring, quote, blaring from the upper apartment. Downstairs tenant reported that he woke up around 3:30 a.m., heard Carlson, quote, smashing glass and breaking things for 20 minutes. The landlord then knocked on his door and told him, hey, man, house is on fire.
Huh?
We didn't start it.
Neighbor also called 911 to report that he saw Carlson wearing a helmet and smashing his own windows at 3:30 a.m. The man told police he saw Carlson under his truck with gas cans going in and out of the apartment before he, quote, saw a flash like a fireball come from the upstairs apartment.
That's your opinion. I saw Billy Joel once. I know you're not a big fan of Billy Joel.
Not.
I saw him once in an interview. I've never seen him in concert, but I saw him once in an interview say that's his least favorite song, which I would agree. It's one of my least favorite Billy Joel songs, too.
Me too.
That he said he almost always started with a melody and then added words.
Is it better than Uptown Girl, though?
Yes.
No, it is not.
I think I'd take Uptown Girl over We Didn't Start the Fire.
Yeah, I'd take just the video of Uptown Girl.
But he said in that song, he said, I started with the lyrics, then went back and added the melody, and he goes, it's awful. Like, dun, 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 dun,
Favorite
dun,
Billy
dun,
Joel song?
For me, probably New York Minute or In the Way She Moves.
New York State of Mind?
New York State of Mind.
Yeah,
maybe.
New York Minute's Eagles.
Yeah, that's Don Henley.
Don Henley.
Yeah, New York State of Mind, or is it In the Way She Moves?
I think it's
Something in the Way She Moves?
Yeah.
Something in an Italian restaurant.
Scenes from an Italian restaurant.
Don't like that. Was in Sopranos. I
never
don't like
liked
that
it.
one.
Yeah.
Glass of red, glass of white.
Yeah.
Scenes from an Italian restaurant.
I mean,
that's my favorite.
There's just something about. I don't know what it is. You know, when he was on tour with Elton John, I mean, it was one of the reasons I didn't want to go see it. Like it's
a star power tour though. Billy Joel and Elton John. I mean, Piano Man. I know it's the easy answer, but I normally go for the hits. I'll admit that. I own that. When you bring up an artist and say, Brian, what's your favorite song? 9 times out of 10, I'm probably going to say their biggest hit.
Sweet Emotions.
Yeah.
the CDB, Charlie Daniels Band. Is it Devil Went Down to Georgia?
Oh, yeah. It's a fantastic song.
I made the mistake of, well, first of all, ever being in a karaoke bar, but our boy C. Stu started. He sings the Captain Jack song, which might be the longest Billy Joel song. It is absolutely awful.
He chooses it by the length of time he can be on stage.
Probably. Final story here. The Dire Wolf, which I always
this
thought
is scary. If it's the story,
I always thought that this was just a made-up mythical creature that they put into Game of Thrones.
I always thought you were going to get one day.
He's got them.
I tell you, man, I went and looked at wolves when I was in school. There was a farm outside of Tuscaloosa that it was like a hybrid wolf, 75% wolf. Probably one of the better decisions I made not getting a wolf. But the dire wolf, an extinct animal made famous in Game of Thrones, has been brought back from extinction after more than 10,000 years. A biotech startup has announced. Boy, that's a cute looking dog.
I don't think you could have any wolf hybrids where you live, LT.
Have you met these dogs he's got?
I mean, no, but you know, technically they're.
Okay, I am in a dilemma. I will say this: I went to a dog park on Sunday because it was raining. It's an indoor dog park, good dog downtown, awesome place. But there's a dude, a special forces guy, that's got another Vizsla, and his Vizsla is 13 now. And he asked me, like the last time I saw him, like a year ago, about me rescuing Vizslas, and he was like, "I'm interested in getting another Vizsla." So when I was out there, I was like, "Hey, my female here, I could make her available maybe." And like she was playing it up.
The dog.
No,
the
I'm
dog.
not kidding.
It's a dog if you're joining the show late.
Like Chili was posing for him. He was taking pictures and sending it to his wife.
Did you have a cane, a long cigarette, and a fluffy fur coat on when you made that?
Hey, everybody.
My female? I can make her available.
Everybody kept coming up and they were like, "This is such a good, beautiful dog." And he was like, "This is one of the best looking Vizslas I've ever seen." He was like, "Why would you want to give her away?" And I was like, man, he's got anxiety, and they just, together, they're a lot, but like individually, she would be an incredible dog. So he's like, "Are you serious about this?" And I was like, "Let me give you my card and let's talk about this." So This guy right now is trying to decide whether he wants chili. Would that be bad for me to rehome her a fourth time?
No, I think Chili's used to it by now, and it's probably the only hope for your house. So,
but I would be totally upfront.
I mean,
with
I
a guy.
imagine those dogs are just like eating through the entire,
They
just
are.
like the roof and
They are,
everything.
yes.
Like termites.
This is
They're
how
just
Lance
eating
saves his
through it.
house. Yeah.
But I would be totally upfront with a guy who worked for Special Forces because you do not want to wake up in the middle of the night with a little red laser on your chest.
Well, I told him
Dunaway's got good advice.
that Chili has learned. She's got a pair of hands. I mean, I don't know what's going on, but I told her
opposable thumb.
Yeah, I told him she can get out of her crate at night. She can open the barn door, get into the pantry. Last night when I got home from walk-ons, I watched first half there. Got home at halftime, jar of honey out.
Yeah. Which means if he ever was called,
but the honey wouldn't come out. It was like really thick local honey.
What's going on?
Yes, it's crazy.
So she had taken the top out, but she couldn't get. So the tongue was going into the honey, but she couldn't get the honey out.
Yeah. So you could sell it if you ever have to go on a sortie, mission, whatever they call those. The dog could be beneficial.
Yeah.
Could be a dog that you send in to open doors for you. Put the dog through a window somewhere in the Middle East. The dog comes and lets the forces in.
I feel bad on tapping out on a dog 2 years in.
Yeah.
But I know it would be a really good home because this guy runs, so he would run Chili. He lives next door to Good Dog.
Yeah.
She would have a place there.
And he needs a new dog.
And I would get to see her every now and then.
And he needs a new dog.
Yeah, and he does. And I think Bullet would be better off alone. I think.
Yeah.
So back to this. So the Texas company Colossal Biosciences said on Monday its researchers had used cloning and gene editing based on 2 ancient samples of direwolf DNA to birth 3 modern direwolf pups.
Yeah.
Now, 2 6-month-olds named Romulus and Remus, and a 3-month-old female named Khaleesi. Now, Colossal Chief's executive, Ben Lane, called the development a, quote, massive milestone. He said in a statement, could not be more proud of the team. This massive milestone is the first of many coming examples demonstrating that our end-to-end de-extension technology stack works. First of all, we're playing God with other bodies. Now we're bringing back creatures. There's a reason they're extinct, right?
Yep. Couldn't make it.
And by the way, go back to the first slide. Look how cute the dog is on the left. And then all of a sudden, the second picture.
That's right.
Ready? Next picture. Oh,
ready to rip your face off.
There we go.
Here we are. Distinctive traits of the direwolf include light, thick fur, muscular jaws, while they are much larger than a regular gray wolf.
Yeah.
I mean, these things are massive. And a wolf in itself, if you've ever seen one, so much bigger than a regular dog with the length and everything.
Yeah.
And you throw in a much bigger direwolf.
Yeah, look at Remus's paws. Look at Remus's paws already.
Yeah, it could kill you.
Yeah.
Listen, this is scary. Where do we stop this? I mean, we brought this
Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
I've never seen the movie, so is that the basis of the movie?
He's never seen Die Hard or Jurassic Park.
Tim's back there making noises.
I'm sorry. I just had a reaction that Tyler could not help but expose.
He's seen
You've never seen
Greyhound
Jurassic
and
Park?
Heart's War, but he has never seen those
Heart's
two.
War's a good movie. Don't crap on that.
You've never seen Jurassic Park?
I've never seen Jurassic Park.
Doesn't it start with a mosquito and DNA and then boom?
Yes.
Yeah, even Jim's seen it and can remember it. I've never seen Jurassic Park.
It is timeless, though. You guys would agree. I mean, it holds up. If you've never seen it, 1993, it was mind-blowing. But if you watched it tonight, you'd be like, damn, that's a good movie.
Yeah, the first one's still really good.
Oh, yeah.
Lost World and Jurassic Park 3, not so much.
It fell apart quickly.
That is Trash Today, brought to you by our friends at Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. And also a NASCAR Brownie getting ready for Talladega. We'll tell you the winners and losers of the NCAA tournament after Brownie tells you how to be a winner.
You can be a winner by going to the Talladega Super Speedway. If you've lived here for any amount of time and you've not spent a weekend at Talladega, you are missing out. Talladega Super Speedway.com to get on board for the Jack Links 500 NASCAR weekend, April 25th through 27th. Talladega Superspeedway.com. 2.5 miles of nothing but pure speed, incredible action at every turn. Talladega Superspeedway.com.
All right, we've got a pennant grace, a live pennant grace coming up at 12:15 on the show, on this platform, 12:15. Set your alerts, follow, like, subscribe of the Pennant Grace there so that you can catch them every Tuesday and Thursday live. Braves and Phillies tonight on TBS, 6:15. Phillies and Braves in Atlanta. The Phillies are 7-2, and the Braves still with the worst record in baseball, 1-8.
And again, they open against San Diego and the Dodgers, and everybody's like, well, you're playing two good teams. Well, here come the Phillies. I mean, it's just like one good team after another, obviously.
The Pennant Grace coming up at 12:15. Winners and losers from the March Madness. The winners. Walter Clayton Jr.
100%.
His NBA stock through the roof now.
Yeah. I mean, he'll be a top 10 guy.
And the mop. I mean, you keep that forever, the most outstanding player.
Yep. I would say BYU. You mentioned them earlier, LT. Their run, now they've got Dioubate coming in as a recruit. I think BYU was a winner in this tournament, making it to the Sweet 16.
Would agree.
I would say in some form or fashion, Kentucky, Arkansas, and Ole Miss. Calipari that season was horrible to start with, got him to the second weekend. Kentucky got to the second weekend.
Well, the
again.
interesting thing, most of these top 25s have Kentucky and Arkansas both in the top 15, but Ole Miss is nowhere to be found.
But Ole Miss getting to a Sweet 16, they've never been to an Elite Eight, so I thought that was a good progression for Chris Beard. And then obviously the Southeastern Conference as a whole.
Well, I was just going to say Auburn. I mean, because, some people will look back to 18, 19, and they'll be like, man, that was a fluke for Auburn to get to their first ever Final Four. When you do it twice in 5 years of a tournament, it's not a fluke.
Yep. Some of the losers, Duke, you have Cooper Flagg for 1 year. And what do you have to show for it? A trip to the Final Four by Duke standards.
The only thing I would say is we were up 14. I mean, you look at it both ways, but you've got a young coach in John Shire. And to me, Shire and Golden both have the look of coaches that aren't going anywhere.
And I'm afraid we're going to do to Shire what we've done a little bit to DeBoer. Like, well, Nick Saban never would have done that. Lance showed you yesterday Mike Krzyzewski did that.
Yeah.
Like Mike Krzyzewski lost a game like that to Seton Hall.
The ACC as a whole, remember, they only got 4 in. The other 3 lost, was it round 1 or at least the first weekend?
Yep.
So that
I think it was all round 1.
The Big Ten, I mean,
Michigan State and Michigan in the Elite, or Sweet 16 for Michigan, Elite 8 for Michigan State.
But the Big Ten, not their usual.
Yeah, Purdue got knocked out by Houston.
And then Cinderella was a loser.
Yeah, and
I don't know if I missed Cinderella. But
no, Cinderella was a loser. You only had, and I don't know, going into the Final Four, 11 higher seeds beat the lower seeds.
Yeah.
So I think moving forward, Cinderella is non-existent.
You almost had Colorado State in the Sweet 16. That would have been a little bit of a Cinderella.
Yeah,
they should have beaten Maryland. Maryland traveled.
But they do have a point guard that is in Nick Clifford. He's going to be a lottery guy. So
we'll get to more Alabama and Auburn spring football tomorrow as basketball season is now ended, as we're 137 days away from the kickoff of the football season. But the big end-of-the-year spring events are happening on Saturday at Jordan-Hare and Bryant-Denny Stadium. We'll talk more about that tomorrow on the show. Until next time, God bless you and God bless America.